It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Yo. Doing two things at once, you know that means it's gonna be great. That means everything's gonna go off without a hitch whenever I multitask. I just went live on IG for a second. Just for a second. I don't get my routines down one way or another. What up, Courtney? It's a snow day. Good morning, D. Bartlett. Good morning, D. Bartlett. Good to see you. Good to see you, D. Debbie, Denise, Eartha Snit. I'm gonna stop like snitching out in your government name, Eartha Snit. I'm gonna stop because I like your name. I like your online presence. All right, what up, Megsy? What up, Brienne? It's good to see you. Thank you so much. Hey, okay. No, well, it's not really a snow day, D. I was kind of, I know you in a real, a place that could actually get snow. No, it's a ice storm. What is it? Freezing rain is supposed to come, but y'all, it was 70 degrees yesterday. Pavement and that shit hold heat, right? Not like a lot of heat, but I don't think it's gonna be that bad. But I don't want to downplay because, and on a serious note, I don't want to downplay because in this region, this is a subtropical region, so I know adapting to colder weather is a real challenge. Seriously, so like it could lead to like slick conditions, but it feels okay. I went out last night late to run a little errands, and it was like still like 58, 59 degrees. That's really good though, in terms like I said, if it was like really frozen ground. Good morning. Really, if it was like, if the ground was like solidly like just frozen, that would be, and if it was perpetually cold here, that would be a problem. But it was 70 degrees yesterday. But it is quite the dip. It is quite the dip to go from 70 yesterday, 70 and sunny, to what, 30 something degrees, 39 degrees sometime around noon. Good morning, Justin. Justin. Good morning, Lynn. How you doing? All right, Justin. You know what I mean? We need a truck. I might have a job opening. might have a side hustle for you. Might not be lucrative, but we got to figure it out. I might need some help. Anyway, good morning. What I wanted to do, I don't know why my setup feels a little foreign to me right now, but what I wanted to do today was, it's a snow day, so I really want people to like roll over and just switch their devices on, and let's talk about reparations. This live stream was inspired by, let me set it up. Boom, bip. This live stream was inspired by some recent work. So y'all know that I'm holding it down over at the Friends of Gadsden Creek. Yeah. We now don't act like it's like a brick and mortar place. Anyway, I'm holding it down with my peoples over with the clique. My peoples with the clique, the Friends of Gadsden Creek. And so what we do is we have regular meetings. We meet now bi-weekly as a group, but then we have different meetings. Like I'm one of the leaders of the Friends of Gadsden Creek, so I hold an actual leadership position. So us leaders sometimes will meet more frequently, but sometimes too we have like little like committees. And so our committees were like, not like literal committees, but we kind of like break off to take charge of things. Like we have a regular, we do like a quarterly mutual aid event. Little Mama, is Little Mama here yet? She ain't here yet. Little Mama was at the last one, and a couple of y'all were at the last one. Evelyn wasn't at the last one, but so we do a quarterly like mutual aid event, and so we might meet for that. Or we have to meet because we're currently our group. Shout out to Scalp. Scalp has agreed to take our case, and so our group has sued the city. We're suing the city on behalf of the Black community of Gadsden Creek, or not just the Black people, the community of Gadsden Green, the Gadsden Green housing projects, and us also we're suing on behalf of families that have been displaced from Back to Green. All due to environmental injustice. That area is dumped upon. So whenever you go over there to head over to the Citadel, or maybe you're going to Burke, or maybe you're going over to Gadsden Green, or wherever you're going, if you hit that bump, that's a pipe. That pipe is staying fixed, and the rest of the ground is sinking because all of that is fill, right? So that whole area literally was a dump. Literally was scalable by little kids back in the day. Used to climb the dump and call it Treasure Island. Anyway, So in working and trying to, we're getting through the lawsuit and whatnot, and I can't talk too much about it, but beyond what has been disclosed to the media. So a lot of how we are fighting for the history, the people, the culture, the schools, that involves us also like reaching out to other groups. And that involves us also looking and learning from other groups who have mounted similar efforts, right? And so, shout out to my boy Brian, Jersey in the house, Jersey stand up. Brian is part of the clique. Brian was like, "Yo, I found this thing, this story about the Linnentown fight." I'm like, "What's Linnentown?" He was like, "Yo, it's this." He don't talk like that, but he's like, "Yeah. Hey, what up, Ace? What up, Ace? Oh, this is right up your alley, Ace. Right up your alley." So like, I was like, "Yo, what's Linnentown, Brian?" He was like, "Oh, it's this group pushing for reparations, and it's in Georgia." And I'm like, once you tell me it's a southern city fighting for reparations, I'm all in. Like, you can just stop right there. And so what I aim to do is reparations is a third rail issue. Reparations is often framed as a third rail issue. The media helps to fan those flames, right? It's really not that controversial. And I want y'all to think about it in ways of repairing something, right? That's what reparations is. At the root of the word, it's about repairing something that has been broken, right? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Joni. It's good to see you. Charlie the Brig. Oh my God, you got Ace. You just killing it. I love seeing you as much as possible. But I want people to think about this, think about it in terms of repairing a wrong that was done. And what we have to also start doing is we have to start holding the media and other institutions accountable for continue to position reparations as this, oh my God, you just want to cut checks to all the black people who were descendants of slaves. Yeah, that would be great, actually. It really would be. And you could do it because you did it before and other countries have done it. But let's look at some ways that people have been using policy to help bring about reparative justice. Does that make sense? So this is what I want to do. And Linnentown is an amazing way to study that. Now, not only am I studying this, like not only did Brian put this on my lap, because this takes place in Athens, Georgia. That's the area you need to. We're gonna get into it in a second. But not only am I studying this, I'm super excited because there are people on this thumbnail who I will be talking to, have already spoken to via email, that I will be talking to on a call very soon. So because Brian said, hey, this effort in Linnentown is something we should look at because the story is so eerily similar to what happened at Back the Green, right? It's land being seized by the government, black people, black community that was thriving, that was economically viable, that had its own economic self-sufficiency. Like I don't know if that makes sense, that phrase, but you get what I'm saying. It's like Tulsa, right? It's like all the other towns that had either been flooded, burned, bombed, and destroyed. Once you start seeing black people build economic power, then the powers that be tend to push back, and that's what happened right there in Burke's backyard. Black people it was the most affluent, upperly mobile area for. This is where all the blacks pretty much were pushed over there, Back to Green, where Burke is at. And they were homeowners that had their land taken after the tornadoes, even though they were working and had raised money to rebuild their homes. The city, Mayor Maybank and those said that, nope, it's blighted. You can't build your home back. They weren't asking for handouts. They was like, nah, we just want to keep our land and keep our home. They were like, nah, we're going to take it and we're going to enter you into a cycle of poverty that you cannot escape from. That's what happened. And so what happened with Back to Green and over there in the Gadsden Green area, right, near the Gadsden Creek, what happened there is so similar to what happened in Linnentown. I learned about it just relatively recently, but it also lit a fire in me to revisit some other efforts in other cities. And I think I've talked about it here, but I don't think I might have talked about it, but not shown the footage. Maybe I have. I think I have. But we're going to revisit other efforts in other cities where cities are literally making an argument, making an economic argument for reparations. And it's done in a way that's not as incendiary as the mainstream media or some nefarious forces might position it, if that makes sense. All right, let me say good morning real quick, and then I'm going to get right to it. Good morning, St. Facade. Joni, I said, what up? What up, Joni? I already said hey to Ace. Yeah, and Lynn. Yep. Hey, M, Agent M, how you doing? How you doing? All right, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna close this out. Okay, and we're going. Oh my God, so many tabs, y'all. So many tabs. Also, real quick housekeeping. This one I won't forget. Real quick housekeeping. Shout out to all y'all who've been engaged. Y'all got the newsletter this morning. Also, I sent out. This is huge. I sent out the newsletter yesterday to all the folks who signed up for the book club. So if you were waiting, look, I just want you to decolonize your expectations. I'm being silly, but I'm not. It's really the last book club damn near killed me because it was too much of a production. It was just a lot of white guilt, a lot of money, it was just a lot of things to work out. It was crazy, y'all. Y'all don't understand. I was grateful for like the gifts that people gave, and I'm still grateful, but it was almost too much attention and questions and whatnot. And so the book club kind of morphed into something that I didn't really want it to be. So now I'm just we're gonna meet on Zoom. We're gonna have a community discussion. The email went out yesterday. So if you signed up, it was over 900 from 2020. I'm not saying this time, it was over 900 people signed up for the original book club. I think, about 800 people signed up for the original book club. A lot of y'all opened it, and I'm inviting anyone to join. Anyone, if you want to join, hit me up in the DMs, hit me up via email, like, hey, I didn't sign up. I'll send you the registration link. You register right here, boom, bip, just an optional donation. I don't run on Duncan. I literally need things to make things happen. Zoom costs money. Yes, professional Zoom costs money. Professional Canva costs money. MailChimp is always upping my subscription because my mail list is growing. Like, this stuff costs money. So, of course, but I'm making it optional because I want people who can't afford to donate or to give. I don't want any barriers to that space. Not an economic barrier. So check that out. Also, I sent out looking for good discussion. It's going to be structured, and what I'm going to definitely do is make sure that we don't have like white women centering themselves too much in a way that's problematic. I want white women to, of course, talk and share and give their thoughts, but I don't want it to become a white tears-a-thon. I don't want white womening all over the place. That's the actual purpose. Like, that's the intent of the space, is to is to kind of correct some of that mess. So not correct it, but to address some of it and how it crops up. Shout out to y'all who've been sharing where you at in the book. Lynn, you're one person. A lot of people have been reaching out saying, hey, I read the book. A lot of people, the couple people reached out after getting an email yesterday about the book too. I also sent out an order update for those who are waiting for your hoodies. I talked about it here on Mic'd Up. I want to be accountable. I know it's taking longer than even I anticipated, but I want you to just know this. I ain't one thing Mika ain't. I don't run off with nobody money. I'm very honest and trustworthy. I'm very transparent. So if you didn't get an update and you say, well, where's my hoodie? Where's my t-shirt? Hit me up if you didn't get this. This went out only to people who purchased a t-shirt or a hoodie. But if you need more clarity, if you wanted to just ask questions about your order, even if you want a refund, just let me know. But it's a grassroots effort, and it's all explained here. And I want to say shout out and thank you so much to Headspace Murals, to Mackenzie, to Elliot, to Holy City Tattooing Collective as well, but specifically to Mackenzie and Elliot of Headspace Murals. They really, we're working hard behind the scenes, and there's a lot of little things that cropped up here and there. This is not just, I could have just gone to a screen printer here. I could have, but we wanted to do something different. All right, so I'm gonna close those out. No, I'm gonna reduce that. Let's reduce it. Ooh. All right, let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Charlie the Brit, you said you slacking and registered for the Zoom, but haven't started. It's okay. I say it in the email. You don't have to just come. Yeah, okay. And somebody already told you that. It's on Audible now. Yup. It's not on Hoopla though, which I'll try to give people a non-Amazon option. It's not on Hoopla. It might be on Libby. I don't know. I didn't check Libby. Those are the two apps I use but I have Audible too. Nobody shame. Like, look. Audible's is the new Walmart. Like, it's hard to escape. Sometimes you need, that $2 orange juice. You can't go to whole paycheck and you can't go to whole paycheck in Mount Pleasant sometime and just be, $3.50 on that fresh squeezed orange juice. Sometimes you just need to go to Walmart and you need to get that $2 orange juice or that $1 orange juice or that Five Alive. Do they sell Five Alive still? All right. So today, here we go. Getting back to this. Let's take it. Okay. So let's take it back. So I'm in Friends of Gadsden Creek. We're talking about ways that we can continue to not just apply pressure, but to how we can increase the political power of people who are not homeowners, right? Who don't pay property taxes, people who are occupants and residents of Gadsden Green. For the past 2 weekends, my friend and I, Amron, another shout out, another homie with the Friends of Gadsden Creek, we've been visiting the residents over at the Friends of Gadsden Creek, a number of residents that we've built relationships with, that emerge, elders that have emerged as leaders within that community. Or at least leaders, they're cool with us, right? So we've been partnering with them. We've been meeting with them to kind of get a better understanding as to what they want. We're not creating a list of demands from a list of things we found online. We want them to craft the demands. So we listen and we took notes and we're building out, right? So part of that also is also coming to them like, hey, we're going to start launching this effort to help you build political power. And so those conversations are taking place continually. And part of that, again, is looking at cities like Athens, Georgia, looking at the Linnentown story and applying whatever, search and reapply, right? Applying whatever lessons from Linnentown we can apply to this fight here as we meet with residents and whatnot, right? Right. And Megzy, thanks for dropping that in the chat about the book. But so let's actively involved. We're trying to help folks build political power, keep their homes, and even restore what they may have lost as it pertains to Gadsden Creek. So part of the Linnentown fight, okay, so right in the middle here, this is Miss Hattie. Shout out Miss Hattie. Hey, Miss Hattie, we're corresponding via email. We're going to set up a call very soon. So this Miss Hattie in the middle. But I caught wind of a very interesting partner, Mariah Parker. Shout out to Mariah. Right? I'm like, oh wait, she's a county commissioner in Athens, Georgia. And she's actually helping this effort, this fight for reparations for Linnentown residents, right? So if y'all don't know who that is, she did come to Charleston. I have interviewed her in a previous, let me see if I can pull up the picture. Let me see if this there. No, that's not there. Hold on. So a couple years ago, she came down to Charleston. Shout out to Krista Weld from CFC campus, right? So she came down. So Mariah Parker she's a county commissioner, y'all. She's a politician. She's also a rap artist. And so she performs with the stage name Lingua. And this was like a rough draft here. You can see her name is not here. Lingua Franca. Right. So she came down to the Royal American. I hosted it. This is when I was working for Black Voters Matter. I throw her a hoodie. She did her thing. One of the most unique individuals I've ever met. Let me introduce you to her first. But this is not about her, but I just want you to know my entry point as well. Like, this is who I reached out to. Hey, you remember me? Yeah, I'm that chick. Yeah, we interviewed each other. Bet. Can you tell us more about Linnentown? And then she says, let me introduce you to Hattie really quickly. She says, let me introduce you to Hattie. Oh my God, what happened? Is Tom acting like he don't know how to open an email again? Anyway, let me stop. All right, so let me introduce you to who Lingua Franca is, so you get an understanding as to who this was. Like, this is the other thing I want to impart on y'all today, anyone who watches today, is it's possible. Me talking about what we could attain on Twitter, yesterday I shared Gary Chambers' video of him smoking the blunt, and he's in a red southern state, right? In a state where can you remember whenever a Democrat held statewide office, right? Right. But he's not going the route of moderation. He's like, nah, I'm progressive. I want these things. I believe in cannabis being, decriminalized. I don't think that's right. He released this ad, and for whatever people think about Gary, the ad was extraordinarily effective and very, very powerful and well made, right? The reason why I shared that was not just to make a political point to dunk on moderate Dems here in Charleston. It was to show other people what's possible. You're not limited by whatever the South Carolina Democratic Party or any of the powers that be. You're not limited to a moderate approach to anything. You need to be able to draw outside the lines. I said this yesterday. I always share candidly how many doors were shut in my face and how I had to pivot and had to literally create my own opportunities. I had to have, my imagination is very vivid. I have an extraordinarily vivid imagination, seriously. And I learned that that's a good thing. And I want y'all to have I want you all to be highly imaginative. And so when I see leaders like Mariah Parker, aka Lingua Franca, who are amazingly brilliant, who are passionate artists, but also holding it down, you know, as a county commissioner, as an elected official, I want y'all to understand that that's what you can have here too. If that makes any sense. Right. And I'm gonna kind of wedge in a couple other favorite things I like to talk about. But once you see it, you can be it. I know that sound really after school specially. I know that sound like, OK, Mika, boys and girls club, you know. But if you can see it, y'all, you can be it. And that's one thing that Charleston knows all too well. And I reference this book often, a book that I haven't finished yet, Moral Contagion, where it was literally illegal for free blacks to travel, to roam free. Free blacks from other areas could not come to Charleston at one point, could not come to Charleston and be free in Charleston. If you were free, if you came from another country, another region of the country, you had to be jailed. To me, what does that got to do with what you just said? The moral contagion, that's literally a phrase from our old laws. They were afraid for the enslaved blacks to see what freedom and liberation looked like. They didn't want blacks to know, oh, you can be free. Because if they did, then they would start fighting for and advocating and organizing for their freedom, which they did anyway, right? But it's that moral contagion that they're afraid of here. South Carolina is afraid of that moral contagion when you see someone else fighting for reparations, fighting for justice, when you see an elected official draw outside the lines and show up as their authentic selves or doesn't tuck their artistic expression, right? When you see that, it emboldens you, it inspires you. South Carolina and Charleston really are afraid of that moral contagion. And while they haven't done anything this explicit, like crafting maritime laws that restrict the movements of free blacks, they haven't done that. They haven't gone that crazy. They have, in effect, of course, I dropped it all the way to the ground. They have in effect, created an atmosphere where you feel like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't be progressive in Charleston. Yes, you can. You can be a progressive candidate in Charleston. Yeah, you can. Upsets happen every day, B. So Mariah, to me, she embodies that the most, right? She embodies that the most. I'm gonna catch up in the chat, but let me play this clip for those who don't know who she is. Shout out to Real News Network too. A real inspiration to me personally. If you could check out Real News Network. But this is an old clip. This is from 2018 when she first when she was sworn in.
It's The Real News. I'm Ben Norton. Today I'm joined by Mariah Parker, who is a 26-year-old activist who is just elected Athens Clarke County Commissioner in Georgia. Mariah is a progressive. She's also a PhD student and a linguist, PhD candidate in linguistics at the University of Georgia. But what's amazing about Mariah in so many ways is also she took her oath of office on the autobiography of Malcolm X, and she had her fist raised in the air. And in fact, Malcolm X's daughter, Eliza Shabazz, tweeted congratulations to Mariah in response to this victory. So today we'll be talking about the potential for transformative politics at the local level, not just in Georgia, but nationally. And this new...
Okay, so when Mika says it, and I'm not saying y'all don't read, y'all know, y'all, a lot of y'all in community, you haven't just, a lot of y'all know what's up. But did you hear what he just said, right? Like, we have to normalize these conversations about, let me let him say it one more time. It sounds so innocuous, but just, it's real. Listen.
On the autobiography of Malcolm X, and she had her fist raised in the air. And in fact, Malcolm X's daughter, Eliza Shabazz, tweeted congratulations to Mariah in response to this victory. So today we'll be talking about the potential for transformative politics at the local level, not just in Georgia, but nationally.
Okay, so that's just about her. You can go back to Real News and watch the actual interview with her, which is really good. But I actually just want to give you a little taste of her. This is who she are. This is who she is. This is who she came. She came to Charleston. She came up from Athens to Charleston, and I never seen a performance like this in my life. And this is pretty much, this is not the performance, but this is kind of a taste of the performance of her energy. Her energy is crazy in a good way. It's wild.
Lingua franca.
This is a county commissioner, y'all. In a southern city, y'all.
Cute little stupid, little brash and erratic, little bit of a nuisance, like back from the
PhD student.
Speaking of which, I'm the ish, then I have to be bad-ish for my
a linguist.
Looser, I'm strapped in a jacket, got a case of the basket, it's scar tissue.
Why can't we have that here?
Just because I'm honest about it, it's starting a movement. Oh, just because I'm honest about it, that's charming to you kids. Think you're missing the point, like your target's been moving. Got a party, I'll poop it. Got a problem, let's talk it out at the bar until we vomit and vodka. Take
All
it.
right, I don't want to get popped. I don't know if I will, but yeah, I'm just literally showing you, like, this is who she is. This is who she is. This is how she shows up. And this is and when I reached out to her, I'm like, yo, remember we interviewed? She's like, yeah, let's do it again too. So I'm also going to be on her podcast again too. God willing, I'm going to be on her podcast soon. That's who she is. This is a county commissioner. So, but let's now learn about Linnentown. I don't know which one to start with. Oh, let's start with this. Let's start with here because she's advocated. But let me tell you something. She passed the mic really quickly. I sent her an email. She was like, "Look, I'm bringing in the elders. I'm bringing in the people who are leading this on the ground." I really love that style. I'm gonna let this rock for a second.
Very excited to be, as we continue the show, by Mariah Parker, who is a commissioner down in Athens, Georgia, also a rapper, also a PhD.
This is from 2021.
Also an organizer. There's many superlatives I'm sure I could continue to throw on here, but maybe what's more important is that we bring her into the show. Really, really happy that you're able to join us, Mariah.
Uh-oh. Somebody's browser is open.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's good to see you again.
The pleasure is all ours. The pleasure is all ours. You know, I wanted to start here with a story I just saw that seems particularly relevant to me this week because I think it was yesterday, in fact, in Congress, there was the hearing on H.R. 40, the bill that would study reparations. And in some of the work that you've been working on there in Athens, there was also what I would consider a relatively major admission that came from the commission there in Athens, apologizing and recognizing what, in my view, can only really be called as a terroristic sort of act, what happened there in Linnentown in the 1960s. Maybe the best.
That ain't that long ago, y'all. 1960. Some of y'all was born in 1960s. That ain't that long ago, y'all. Or maybe, I don't know if some of y'all was born in 1960. But it ain't that long ago. Right? Right? And I appreciate how he framed it as an act of terror.
Place to start is if you could give us some context for what actually took place, and then I think I'd like to move into some of what happened this week.
My ring light.
Sure. So in the 1960s, the University of Georgia conspired with the city of Athens and several legislators at the state and federal level.
Y'all see the Chiron?
To use eminent domain to destroy a black neighborhood that was.
Eminent domain to destroy a black neighborhood in the 1960s. Y'all see this Chiron though? Socialists and city councils. She's a county commissioner though. That's an interesting Chiron.
It's located pretty centrally in town as one of the smallest or one of the strongest, but smallest enclaves of black home ownership at the time, in a place where restrictive covenants still made it such that folks couldn't buy properties in these white neighborhoods. They came together and, working class black folks were able to build a community. However, under urban renewal and in the interest of slum clearance, as they said.
Yep, slum. I'm telling you, the parallels are uncanny. I'm not going to keep stopping it. But in April, you know this. Good morning, April. You probably know this. Urban renewal is just a euphemism for gentrification, displacement of usually poor or brown communities, right? Urban renewal, planned shrinkage, all those things, all those terms that kind of seem benign, they actually aren't. And so I just wanted to look that up. I'm not going to keep stopping. I just want her to give you a quick synopsis, and then we're going to get to Miss Hattie and the story of Linnentown.
They moved people out through controlled fires, through intimidation,
controlled fires,
all manner.
They literally burnt their homes.
Of white supremacist terroristic tactics displaced these families, and many of these families unraveled in the aftermath of having their homes seized and their community torn apart. And
yep,
so,
Justin.
One of the families that lived in Linnentown was able to move their house rather than see it burned to the ground.
Listen to this.
Before them, like a lot of folks who were living in Linnentown at the time, moved their house across town into my district that I represent in the east side of Athens. And one of my constituents, 2 years ago, came to me and told me this story. And ever since then, we've been trying to connect with other descendants of Linnentown, other former residents who were children in the 1960s and are now, in their 60s and 70s, to get this story out and also understand what redress and recognition could look like on their terms. And so
redress and recognition. I want to invite you to go to, let's see. Yeah, right here. All right, go to this website. It's www like I'm 80. www. It's redressforlinnentown.com. redressforlinnentown.com, right? So this is a way for you to get caught up on the issue as well, hear firsthand from those on the ground working, right? And then you have a James Baldwin quote right here. Let me make this bigger because I know the font is really light as well. You have a James Baldwin quote right here. Urban renewal means Negro removal. I never even heard of that until I read that. Urban renewal means Negro removal. Oh, no.
Now listen.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga. Yeah. Yep. So let's go. All right. So I'm gonna back out of this because again, I want to center the voices of, and this is what Mariah modeled as well when she tagged and had it in our email exchanges, right? Okay. Let me get to the one. I want to go to the one that really does it really well at first. Not that one. Let's do that. Yeah, this one right here. Because this one was, there's a couple of videos, y'all. We're going to watch it full. This one right here.
Welcome to Athens Politics Nerd, where we break down commission meetings to bring you the important local news. Dozens of protesters packed City Hall last Tuesday demanding justice for Linnentown. They say their houses were stolen from them in the 60s by the University of Georgia. Will this wrong finally be made right?
And that's why when you see, so when we talk about the Horizon TIF that developer / Mayor Riley put in place way back when in the 90s. So, we call it West Edge now, but the former name was Horizon. And there was a Horizon TIF that came along with this nonprofit that Mayor Riley organized. And we're going to get back. We're going to revisit our Now This video where Seb breaks that down for us. But one thing that was very interesting about the Horizon, the original organization, the Horizon Foundation, it was called a foundation as if it was going to do some philanthropic work. And it also, part of the leadership on it was MUSC. And I've talked about eds and meds in like New Jersey and areas like New Jersey and Philly. But that ever-growing footprint of universities like College of Charleston, their footprint is growing and growing. MUSC, goddamn, that's Bigfoot. Talk about a footprint. MUSC's footprint is growing and growing. And so when you hear the University of Georgia took this land, I want you to think about what MUSC is taking from back the green. The parallels just are endless.
Will it even be recognized? Let's find out. You can keep up with local news, Georgia politics, and national policy by subscribing. Linnentown was a black neighborhood in Athens that was right where those high-rise dorms stand today on Baxter Street. It was raised in the 60s during urban renewal, where so-called blighted or slum areas across the country were demolished to make way for new development. The people living there didn't have an option to say no. The city bought their homes by invoking a government right called eminent domain, and then they were destroyed. Governments are allowed to forcefully take people's property if it's in the public interest, so long as they pay adequate compensation.
And they don't.
Now, whether forcing people from their homes to put up student dorms is really in the public interest or not is perhaps debatable.
Very.
What's more certain is that the amounts these black families were paid for their land was far from adequate.
And so
in some cases,
so shout out to my homie Cyrus. Thank you to the new new sub. Thank you. Oh, Shirley Figure always coming through. Thank you for the new sub. Shout out to my homie Cyrus. Cyrus, this is something that Cyrus has been able to calculate how much the cost per acreage that the city evaluated for Back to Green, but I believe we're still unclear as to what the city gave the people who were displaced from Back to Green. But this is very important. Once you find the money and follow the money, you can use that to inform your fight for reparative justice, for redress.
It was shockingly low. The median amount given in exchange was $5,800.
Look at that.
Which would be about $47,000 in today's dollars.
You can't buy no house with that.
I'm not an expert on real estate, but I'm doubtful you can find a home in the downtown area for under $50,000 these days. So, 50 black families had their property stolen and were forcefully removed from their homes.
Remember that parallel.
Which were then destroyed.
I'm going to stopping it because it's just
a few homes from Linnentown managed to escape the destruction.
This is the story that's...
One such home belongs to Geneva Johnson's family.
This house right here is from Linnentown on Peabody. This is not the house we was raised in. They wouldn't let Daddy move our house that we was raised in because it was too big. They was going to tear it down anyway. And they said all the houses that was in Linnentown, they said they were shacks and shambles.
Said the same thing about Back to Green.
But they were not.
Basically, they just kicked us out. And if we didn't move fast enough, we had to pay rent. They charged rent. So even with this small amount of money that was given, they wanted some of that back. They would push houses down of people that we knew. And then some houses were burned, and we saw, some houses were burned down. So it was traumatizing.
Imagine
Former
that, y'all.
residents of Linnentown, like Geneva and Hattie,
I want to hold space real quick. So this is what I lift this up. I don't lift it up as often as I want to. We really do have to pause and really think about what you just heard. Just imagine your childhood home being burned down because the city wanted to take it and build more dormitories for a local university. Just imagine coming home. Just imagine being a kid or a family member and having this kind of conversation, or maybe seeing your neighbors go through that and knowing that it's going to happen to you soon. And so you now got to rush and move a literal home, move a physical structure across town. Before tiny homes, there's always been kind of mobile homes, but you get what I'm saying. Before, just imagine that. Just imagine that. I really want you to sometimes we go fast through these things. That type of terror, that type of violence, that type of representational of violence, y'all, is to me is ghastly, and it should make you feel an abundance of feelings. But really just sit with that for a second. Imagine just you live in a place, you're a taxpayer, you work hard, you're getting your kids to school, you have your own business, and then the city was like, no, we want your land, we want your house, and if you don't move, we're going to make you a permanent renter, essentially entering you to a cycle of poverty where you have to rent and no longer can build equity and build generational wealth, right? Just imagine that. All because you're not seen as a whole person. I mean, I'm telling you, and when you talk to some of these elders, these stories are so they're not normal to them, because obviously Miss Geneva and Miss Hattie here are telling you how terrifying it was. But just imagine living with that and no one caring about it for much of your adult life, right? April, you just dropped in the chat. Y'all be sure to follow Acres of Ancestry. Yeah. I got some. Yeah. Thank you for that. I got some insight. I might have an alternative to that. I get you though. In the spirit of that, I get you. I think there's some other people in North Carolina. I don't know. I'll talk. Me and you will talk, April, because do my work with Cypress. I did meet some folks in there, and I'm not against Acres of Ancestry. But I don't know if they're as connected on the ground as they need to be. And I don't know, I see an influencer strategy that's troublesome, right? And listening to voices of those who really aren't really in this fight. And and some of y'all know one person I'm talking about, but more largely their campaign is typically like driven around. Yeah, we'll talk later. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm gonna say this too. I'm gonna start do a better job at this too. To all my white co-conspirators in this group, in this community, those who are watching live and those who are watching later, want you to, and I appreciate that. Acres of Ancestry is Black led. Make sure you just when you do suggest links and whatnot. One thing we teach in the giving projects, as cohorts are going through the applications to figure out who they're going to make grants for, there are a battery of questions that I think I'm going to ask y'all to ask yourselves whenever you share names of organizations. There's a battery of questions that we ask the cohort to ask themselves to determine who they're going to make grants for, and I think it's a great way for us to evaluate. And I'm not saying like don't support support Acres of Ancestry. I'm not tripping, but there's some questions y'all might want to ask. It'll help white people who may not know as much about the contours of an issue. It might help y'all engage in a little bit better, if that makes any sense. Let me let this rock though. Saint Facade, you said socio-political exclusion to being the general public, right? In quotations, or even just being human has been a crucial part in the long history of white supremacy.
Now listen, that's called motherfucking bars, nigga.
Can't say it better than that. Thank you. Can't say it better than that.
Two things: recognition and redress.
It's all good though. Thank you for sharing the link.
With Commissioner Mariah Parker and the Linnentown Project, these former residents have crafted a resolution which they want the mayor and commission to adopt. It calls, first and foremost, for recognition of the wrong that was done to them. They want an apology. This is something that UGA in particular has yet to give them. In a response to former residents' push for recognition, UGA sent a private statement to commissioners arguing against the resolution.
Look at that.
UGA claims that the purchases were voluntary, that the homeowners were well compensated,
no, they weren't,
that race had nothing to do with it, and that the urban renewal project was actually in the public interest. Okay, so that's not any kind of apology.
Nope.
Beyond recognition, the Linnentown resolution calls for financial compensation to the victims, an on-site memorial, and historic designation for the remaining Linnentown structures. And it seems like commissioners are on board with it. Commissioner Parker helped draft the resolution, like I said, and several others have been strongly supportive. Another group of commissioners, including Russell Edwards and Jerry Neese,
apparently
support at least parts of the resolution. Commissioner Edwards even attended a rally held by the group outside City Hall.
Oh, okay.
When he got up to speak,
this is also important. We talked about this. Shout out to Francis. Is he going by Frank now? I don't know. Francis, y'all know Francis from like school board and whatnot. When Francis gave up to give his comment at the school board to oppose the Reimagine Schools proposal, he brought up a conflict of interest that existed. He brought up a conflict of interest on the school board, and he was admonished when he brought that up. They were completely out of line. They don't get to dictate how, outside of vulgarity, profanity, being violent, disruptive, in a way that prohibits business from being done. They can police that, right? But to continuously, like, y'all got to start pushing back. And Francis did a good job. He stood his ground. Don't let anyone tell, like, y'all know what comments, y'all know what engagement looks like, and you can have spirited engagement, right? And I know that's a fine line for some, right? Am I still in that frame of mind that I was with Indivisible, where we would just have a Lindsey Graham town hall and we stand up and yell and boo? No, I'm not there anymore. But if you have something to say, and if emotion erupts, that's okay. Don't let any city council person, don't let any school board member, if they can allow the Proud Boys to parade around the city, right? And if they can allow anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers to break rules and ordinances and show up on these mics, people who don't even live in Charleston or Charleston County, if they can allow that, then you can push back, and you can have a spirited response to the city's proposed legislation.
The crowd know his feelings. He said he supported the resolution, but was concerned with parts of it and wanted to make some changes. And that was the wrong thing to say. He was booed off the stage with the crowd yelling, "This is what white supremacy looks like."
At their rally, not...
So, what could have possibly caused the crowd to boo a supporter? First, Edwards wanted to make sure that the resolution's language about financial compensation was legal under state law.
Sound familiar?
Second, there's a line in the resolution that reads, "The city of Athens and the University System of Georgia perpetrated an act of institutionalized white supremacy and terrorism." While that may be true, the local government's relationship with UGA is a critical one. So I understand why some commissioners might prefer to compromise in this situation to get what's really important in the resolution passed.
When we sit in their faces and talk about compromise and talk about how we're gonna figure out something significant to do at some point, some way, somehow, that is white supremacy still.
Oh, that's right.
That is white supremacy still.
There you go, y'all.
I will continue to insist that the resolution, as written, will make it onto a future agenda, that is voted, that is passed, that we follow through on every single step.
That's your rapper, activist, commissioner, linguist, PhD. Come on, Lingua Franca. Come on. Come on, Mariah Parker.
I just hope we can get to the place where we are sitting around talking instead of sitting in a place where some folk feel as though they're being threatened. Well, you know what? First of all, I wasn't talking directly to you, okay?
I volunteered a month ago after a long meeting where I almost cried with Hattie. Well, you can laugh if you want. I'm not laughing.
Oh my God.
Yes, I am. Who the hell do you think you are to call me a liar?
I'm just asking Commissioner Neesmith to continue his comment.
Something else is going on.
I know, April.
That keeps somebody from actually supporting the resolutions because they have ties or...
What I heard was that Commissioner Edwards did support the resolution, but there was just maybe a few words in there, like the really strong, very strong language that we didn't maybe...
Yeah, look, Miss Geneva. Miss Geneva on the right.
That's fine.
Well, you know, if we say, we have said all along that we are not tied to just words, we just want the intent to be the same. You can change the word, but the intent of the resolution should be the same. But if you ask a person, say, okay, if you want this word changed and we change it, would you support the resolutions?
Yeah.
And we don't get an answer.
Exactly. So that's the exercise in futility that they'll put you through. Oh, change this, modify that, moderate this, lessen this, turn this down, tune this down, make this quiet, take Tamika out, put that put that nameless person in there. We can't, they'll tell you, they'll make you jump through motherfucking hoops all damn day, saying, oh yeah, just do this, do that, and they did this with the commission. Look at the commission now. And I think I do think, while I'm disappointed that the commission has been watered down and completely I don't know what it is now. While I'm really disappointed in that, there is something still there, I guess, to work with. But that's an example of how they'll moderate your shit. They'll file it down, and then you don't even know whether or not you're going to get their full support. You don't even know. We don't even know. Right? So sometimes that's why I tell people when they say, Mika, just keep moderating your message, just do this, do that, provide this caveat. For what? They either gonna fuck with it or they not. I don't need to do all that. I don't need to go through all that. Not, you know what I mean? Like, and y'all don't need to either. And I'm not trying to just make it about me. Y'all don't need to either. You don't need to moderate. You don't. Moderation that's the scam. They tell you that, oh, if you do this, you'll get in. They lie. That's not true. It's not true. Hey, kid, good morning. Yeah, make all the changes and still no. Exactly, Brian. Exactly. Oops, I didn't mean to. We're almost done with this clip.
I think that this is a process. You know, we're working towards meaningful legislation, and we might have some minor differences. I view them as minor.
And I do think that I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak out of turn before I had my conversation with Hattie and Mariah, but it does sound like the Russell Edwards character right here from this district. It does sound like he is willing to listen, and I'm good with that. But even with them, like with people like this who are like, I want to support it, I want to support it, I want to support it, but you have to continue to be strong. You have to continue to push them to be courageous, because that's what you're really asking and requiring of them, to move courageously, to move boldly. That's what you're asking them to do. Y'all worried about the word terror and white supremacy. Meanwhile, y'all literally burnt down these people's homes. You literally forced some of these black people to lift up their homes and move a physical structure to another part of town. You literally took their home. And yet we're quibbling about white supremacy, and like that, it just doesn't make any sense. And so you have to continue to push. When you got to continue to push them to show up courageously.
But I am committed to getting something passed, and I'm here at the table.
There has been a lot of miscommunication, and when miscommunication happens, you have a lot of people who take sides not knowing what's in the middle.
Mm-hmm. I support the current iteration if that's what is pursued. But I do hope, though, and I do hope, though, that we, the residents, and I know the residents spoke to this tonight, that we, the residents, the mayor, the commission, can sit down and work together so that we can optimize our ability to implement those end goals of redress. Because it is not enough to only recognize. It is not enough, as Commissioner Thornton put it, just to have a piece of paper.
It's not enough to say we apologize for slavery. Where's redress?
Not enough. That's not
taking down Calhoun. That was for your image. That helped you out. I mean, it's great. It's great. I celebrated. I was there all night. Yeah, but that's to help you look like you're less racist than you really are, or to make your policies look less racist than they really are, right? Where's the redress? Show me the money.
Not why I signed up for this job. It's just to pass pieces of paper with good words on it.
Come on.
That's an important part of it.
Where are these leaders at, y'all?
But it's the action that those words lead to. That's why I did this.
They're here. They're here. These leaders are here.
And
gotta find them.
So I want to make sure that that is our end goal. I know from talking to the residents, that's the residents' end goal. That is my end goal as a commissioner.
Yep.
This resolution can pass.
Okay.
We have to.
So this video was from, and again, I'm going to connect with them. This is from 2020, but the other thing we watched was from 2021. So I'm going to connect with them to see certain different. I'm going to connect with this group, hopefully through Miss Hattie. I just got a text from Brian, so we're going to set up that call, hopefully soon. We can learn more. But there's another video, y'all. This one right here, this 18-minute video. It really, really, you start hearing from the residents now. You heard from the elected officials. You saw what the protest looked like, right? But here's the story. Here's the story of Linnentown. You literally can just take Linnentown. I don't know if that's a typo or not. I don't know if that's a typo. Probably it might be right. A thriving African-American community in Athens, Georgia, located along Peabody Street until 1962. Linnentown was that, right? You can literally take Linnentown out and put the area, the Gadsden Creek area, back to green. You can put Tulsa, Rosewood. Name the town where black people will run out of power, run out of whatever, right? City lines, county lines. All right, I'm gonna press play. That year, the city of Athens, Clark County, and the University of Georgia won a contract through the Federal Urban Renewal Program to demolish Linnentown, y'all, and make a way for parking and student housing. And that's actually what's being proposed over there in the Gadsden Creek, the last remaining 4 acres. They want to, well, was it a condo or was it a parking lot? I can't remember which one they wanted to build there. I think it was a parking lot, but I might be, I don't want to misrepresent it. Rosewood, Florida. Yep, you got it, Denise. Yep.
Mama said, what did it say? I remember hearing that. And Daddy said, they said we got to move. And he said, I told him I didn't want to.
It's an iteration of it.
Daddy said, they said, Snowball, you don't have a choice. That's what I remember. What happened is, it was so devastating.
It's Miss Geneva Johnson Eberhardt.
You just didn't know that hurt could be that way. And all we couldn't do, we were limited to do because we was black. We didn't know things was going to be like that. We didn't know nothing about that kind of hurt. We didn't know the kind of hurt that you're saying that you got to go. There's no community no more, no neighborhood.
My name is Bobby Crook, and I lived in what was called Linnentown, and we stayed at 167 Peabody Street. At that particular time, there was a big hill here, and the hill has been removed now.
Yep, and, Lynn.
Peabody Street went down.
Look at that.
Straight down the hill there. And to see the University of Georgia, which is, it's nice to have those dormitories here, but it was at the expense of our whole.
I think any descendant of Linnentown should be able to go to the University of Georgia for fucking free. Shout out to Ace. I know when I had this conversation with Alvin Johnson. I'm calling him Ace. When I had this conversation with Alvin, when we did the podcast, the mic'd up episode, and also throughout his work with the commission, Alvin's strength is the economic piece, right? Economic prosperity and seeking out economic opportunities, right? And one thing I believe Alvin and others have lifted up was looking at what Georgetown University did in recognizing its role in oppression and oppressing Black people, and how they went about offering tuition to those who are harmed by their actions, and how their schools being built on slave labor, all that kind of stuff, right? Whether whether communities being displaced by the ever-growing footprint of an institution, or whether it was something like your institution was built with slave labor or exploited labor. There are institutions, again, the whole point and the intention of this live stream is to tell you that reparations have been demonized. You know that. Reparations have become a dirty word. And whenever you bring it up, it's like a third rail type of conversation. Like it gets off kilter really quickly. So what Linnentown and those fighting for redress for Linnentown, what they've done is they've empowered me, they've emboldened me, and they've given us more language to talk about. So now we talk about redress, right? I'm telling you about reparative justice. What does that look like? That phrase. So we're using language that helps articulate what that can look like. But when you look at these institutions like a Georgetown, and you look at some cities like a Portland who are actively working to repair the harm that was done, it's not this boogeyman anymore. It's a policy issue. It's a policy. All of this is policy, right? And you just need careful and skillful messengers who make that point quite clear, right? That this is a policy question. This is a policy conundrum, right? This is nothing else. This is not radical, extremist. They're gonna call anything extreme anyway. They calling what's her name? Representative Spencer Wetmore. Her opponent just came out the woodwork. I just found out yesterday. Shout out to the followers. Shout out to you who sent me that email, those emails. They're calling her after she gave her rebuttal to Henry McMaster's State of the State of Justice. They're calling her radical. So it don't matter. Like don't get afraid of being called radical, because if they calling Spencer Wetmore radical, then they just saying things, right? It's the way they used to use the word communist, right? Anytime you said something they didn't like, oh, you're a commie, you're a communist. It's the same thing. It's empty, and it's whatever. So don't moderate your message. All right, Ace.
I will hold everything.
All right.
And that's what we missed the most, is how it separated people and their families, which we had a thriving community here. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew everybody's children. And it was a lovely thing to see.
Just the parking lot.
This is just a horrible reminder of what was taken from us. And a lot of times.
Okay, April, thank you for that.
Here, and I would just cry because I had so many fond memories of Linnentown, and I was only 11 years old when we moved from Linnentown, which was in 1966. So,
thank you, Saint Facade.
Boy, it
sounds like he getting
back so many memories. We could stand in our living room and see Sanford Stadium 50-yard line. That was the view that we had
University
from
of
our
Georgia.
House at 167 Peabody. We could see Sanford Stadium just as clear from our bedroom. So Sanford Stadium meant a lot to Linnentown because we were getting paid. A lot of people, they would pay us to wash their cars.
Right, they had job. They did little
games.
Yeah,
and that was something that we looked forward to. The Negro community looked forward to that.
He said Negro community.
Every year,
Love
it's
it.
going to a University of Georgia football game. And that was a very, very important part of our economy and everything.
Yeah, joy.
And
going to a
I had to
game.
witness all of my friends and all of the people that I knew and grew up with. They were gone and their houses was abandoned. Every day I would go down on Lennon Road, I would go down here on Peabody Street and look and see where certain people used to live at that they're not there anymore. So I had to see development coming over here that nobody else had seen because they moved before we did. But one thing that I did see, and I will never forget, is them building Brumby Hall and piling pipes on our property before we even moved.
Look at that. You hear that? So they're building that dormitory called Brumby Hall. You saw the name earlier in the video. And he remembers, in preparation for its construction, he remembers the city or whoever, the developers, piling up all the pipes and all of the other materials, building materials, on their property before they had even moved. Imagine, that's so disrespectful. Shout out to April for dropping that in the chat. Also, Saint Facade, you said they demonize it. I'm thinking you're talking about reparations. They demonize it because they know that if they were ever forced to pay reparations in pure monetary form, even though we need policy and institutional redress more so, right? Exactly. We're here. We're here. You're saying we're here cause you my cousin. That's right. I forgot. We're here cause you said that it would absolutely bankrupt the United States. Yeah, it would literally look.
Now listen. Now listen.
Literally, y'all. You know how much they owe us, adjusted for inflation and adjusted for today's inflation. You know what they owe us? Seriously. What they owe indigenous people? Shit. Shout out to you. Thank you for that comment, Saint Facade. I appreciate it, cuz.
The research that I read, we need to be compensated.
He wants.
Yes.
Yep.
Because the University of Georgia has did real well with
just won a championship
Hall,
too.
Russell Hall and Cresswell Hall. They have did real well. And for the amount of money that they gave people, yes, they owe us
$5,000, $1,400.
Some kind of plaque of recognition to let people know that it was a black community called Linnentown, because our black history is very important for the younger people to know that this is where we come from. This is the start. This is where maybe your mother or your father came from.
When we looked at the amount of money that was given to the homeowners for the property, it was little to nothing. The meager wages that they had accumulated this, and then looking at what the checks that they received for the property, some people received $1,400, $2,000, $4,000. Where were they going?
I can't wait to talk to her, y'all.
What were they going to buy?
I cannot wait.
This was before integration. You couldn't even go in a bank. They did business with loan companies then, but it was no way that with their wages that they made, that they were going to be able to get a loan to even purchase a house. So
you can't purchase
there
a
was a
house.
lot of anguish and a lot of people trying to determine where they were going to go.
Right.
Well, by that time, it was the University of Georgia responsibility to get us out of the community.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they closed out, it wasn't but 3 streets, but they closed out entrances to the community.
Mm-hmm.
The bulldozers started up at 12 o'clock at night.
Wow.
They started digging ditches in front of the homeowners. So when we came home from school, we had to jump over the open ditch to go home and get in the house. So it was that terrorizing for us.
That's terror. That's
in addition to
and
that,
you want to take that out. They take that language out the proposed legislation.
We saw where they were pushing the house down that we had seen for years. They would push them down with people on the other side of it. In addition to that, they burned some of the houses.
So people,
they got the fire department to burn.
So they're essentially there are neighbors. So you were in your house, but they wanted to get started on this little plot of land here. They knocked down that land. They knocked down that house while you living in the house next door, and you know that ain't safe to do that. Like logistically, that just doesn't even make sense. But that shows you how much disregard they have for these people. And when I tell you, y'all, I don't know, it's the same when you go to the city archive, when you pour over the archives, the way that we have done it with Friends of Gadsden Creek, when you see, specifically as it pertains to Back to Green, when you see these people were begging to keep their land, right? Oh, hold on, here we go. I don't know why that's blocked, same facade, because here we go. People were begging, were fighting, were clawing to keep their land. And you see the same story. Like you don't hear this account of like houses being individually burned and knocked down, but you hear similar things like what they could see outside their window, how they could take care of themselves, the businesses they used to frequent, the agricultural fairs that used to exist, like just the recreation and the recreation that they could take part in on the creek, boating, fishing, crabbing,
So it was terrorizing. It was just absolutely terrorizing for what we saw and what our parents saw, and that they realized that there was nothing that they could do because there was nobody to turn this elephant from coming at this neighborhood, at our neighborhood. The university wanted this area of 22 acres to build these dormitories,
that magnolia tree,
and the parking deck.
Good job, cameraman.
They wanted this property, and we were targeted because it was a small black community.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of us had to move wherever we could. Some of us did have to go from being homeowners to the housing authority projects. The projects, we call them the projects. Some of the people went to the projects because they had nowhere else to go.
Gadsden Green projects.
They had no.
Took their home, took their land, and said, "Nope, live in the projects."
No
equity.
Of us did not become homeowners again.
Yep, never became homeowners
that's where
again.
we are now. We have talked with the mayor, and the mayor is going to put a group together to now try to look at the resolutions.
Go ahead, Ms. Hattie.
And try to come to some kind of agreement. I know that it is hard. If it was easy, it would already be done. But this is an opportunity for all the residents of Athens to be proud to be Athenians.
Yeah.
If we can get this done. Not only Athens, the state of Georgia, and this country, because we now know we can work together to get it done to make this right.
Right.
But how would you feel one day you come home, your parents tell you, we got to move out of our house. But one day you go home and tell your children, we got to go because somebody else wants it. It hurts right now. I've had a lot of emotional things happen to me. But this one thing that'll make water come to my eyes, and you know what? I don't cry easily.
Sound like my mama.
I don't.
Hold on a second.
But when it hurts you to your core, and you see that you're fighting for your father, 7 sisters and brothers, 3 of them gone. You know, you got to do right. I'm not asking you to do anything wrong. I love you. I love the university. I love the city of Athens. Been here all my life. But you got to do right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make this right. It's not going to go away.
Nope. So I want to actually pause here. It's gonna be a little janky because we want to learn as much as possible about Linnentown. But I want to pause here. Yeah, make sure I remember what video I'm watching. Okay, the Linnentown one. And I just want to go back to. I want to go back to our Now This video from Friends of Gadsden Creek. Because I think Seb does an exceptional job. And y'all, please make sure you go to, I forgot we had a YouTube page. This is our YouTube page here, Gadsden Creek. Only 4 videos, but you'll see our mutual aid work there. That's Seb's channel. But if you go to, let me see, go to our channel real quick. Yeah, you'll see, Seb uploaded this 2 weeks ago. You'll see this panel discussion that, a shout out to Marilyn Hemingway. We were on this panel. I was on this panel here too. Yeah, this is around the time I got fired. So I was in Brooklyn. On this panel, we won an award. We won a U.S. Water Prize for art. So it was me and Mary. Mary and I were there. And then there's a tour of Gadsden Creek here. So this is all on our YouTube channel, right? And this is the homie right here, Cyrus. Cyrus was speaking at the Surge sessions. Right, I believe that was the coalition, the climate coalition folks were doing that one. But here's our Now This video. Shout out to Seb. Seb is just the glue. Seb is the glue. I think it was me that was it me approached? I was approached initially for this story. And then I was like, nah, Seb gotta be in it. Cause Seb just, I know my strengths. And I know y'all watched this already, but just I want you to pay attention to the history and look at the parallels between Linnentown and Back to Green over there. Who that?
We're trying to tell Charleston that the way they've gone about doing business, the way they've gone about planning their growth has had adverse effects on predominantly African American communities and poorer communities in Charleston.
And it said the creek is polluted. So is Shem Creek, bitch. Like, close that down. Build on that. Stop.
This community that's situated directly next to the creek used to thrive, used to live off the creek.
Late 1800s. Largest population of black property owners. Let me just bring it back. The largest population. This is our animation, by the way. That's not theirs. Oh, shout out to who did this? Oh, shout out to the homie who made the animations, but or made the graphics in the back. But look at it. All right, it was so where you see Burke High School and you see those projects. Try to close your eyes and use your mind's eye. Right? Theater of the mind, whatever you want to do. And just imagine, well, I'm going to do it too. Close your eyes and imagine, instead of projects, instead of the Citadel, right? Instead of, just imagine acres and acres of creek, and also imagine on the creek, just a whole neighborhood, an entire neighborhood, over 100 family or 100 homes, and not the projects. Just imagine that. Just imagine these little like shotgun homes or whatever kind of architecture was prominent during that time period. Imagine just 100 or so families. Just I'm literally closing my eyes and doing it with y'all. Like, just imagine that. Imagine what it would look like now. Imagine how much wealth and equity could have built up and been passed on from generation to generation. Right? It's crazy. Like, literally, this was the largest population of black property owners in Charleston, and they wanted the land. And they not only, and what people don't understand is that yes, they also wanted to neutralize that power, that economic power. Yes, People think that, oh, they just wanted the land. They wanted the land, and they wanted to also kill two birds with one stone, which is to neutralize that power that was building and mounting up. They saw that. They saw that black people weren't, these people weren't necessarily fighting for integration, right? Even though when their homes were destroyed by the tornadoes, they had they welcomed. We found the press clippings. They said, hey, white people in Charleston, come to our fair. Come help us build back our homes. We're raising money. We're having this fair, entertainment, dancing and fun and food. Come on, white people. Come on. Like, yeah, we're gonna pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. You keep telling us to do that, right? We're doing it. Come and be a part of it. Mayor Maybank was like, nah. Same thing. Yeah.
There's a very rich community that is engaged directly with the water. We have photographs of a baptism happening in Gadsden Creek. We have evidence of the creek being a rich ecosystem for local fishing and commerce. We see it as a place of recreation, of joy, of gathering.
The tornadoes in 1938, right? So that's the other part of Charleston. That part of Charleston, you know, over there, they got the chance to rebuild. This is this is from the papers. You can go to the library and find this, right? I forgot what part of town. This looks like the market area. It's like the market area. But them tornadoes came and devastated a number of areas in Charleston. But why is it that the black community wasn't allowed to rebuild their homes?
This is the project that
North Charleston
to this day as the public housing authority.
Yeah, we talked about that on live stream.
Today it's no longer technically racially segregated. It's still majority black, 99% people of color. This is an instrumental moment in history because it's a seizure of property from black homeowners being transferred to the city.
1950s, so they started dumping. All that white is the dump. All that white is the dump. Dump.
This is a perfect case of environmental racism.
In 2012, our Charleston mayor, Joe Riley, who's notorious in the area as being an extremely ambitious developer.
Let me just say bars.
Yeah, listen.
Did you see what Seb just did? You see what they just did? Mayor Riley, a notorious, extremely ambitious developer. That's his legacy. I don't care about no Bill Murray carrying you in his arms. I don't care about no Septima Clark naming of the. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about you hugging Oprah after Hugo. Your legacy, Developer Riley, is displacing as many black people from this peninsula as possible and replacing those people with hotels, with sprawl, with unregulated growth. And with environment, and you carried on what Riley did was carry the torch, continue to, you know what the fuck I'm trying to say. He continued on where Mayors Lockwood and Maybank left off. Period. Same facade, you already called it. You talked about the North. We talked about that. We're going to keep talking about it too. I'm not trying to stifle the conversation around what's happening in North Charleston. April, you and I, we're going to talk about that. What's happening and she co-signed, April co-signed, what's happening in North Charleston. And there's a lot of that stuff going on there too with some gatekeeping. We already talked about it. But like the displacement by 526, shout out to the Washington Post for also writing about it. I know Adam Parker wrote about it as well, but Washington Post did a really good job because y'all know I don't like Adam Parker, right? But anyway, call him what he is. This is his legacy. Ambitious developer, displacement, completely changed completely. And this is what happened when you have a man stay in office for 40 fucking years. Hyper tenure. I wish they would get so mad and up in arms about hyper tenure as they do about progressive policies. You should not reelect this man over. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what. I get it. When I was in high school, he was an affable figure. Salt of the earth guy. That's how my friends used to describe him. Like just a real nice, normal, like, yeah, I'm sure he's really a great grandpa. I'm sure. I'm sure he doesn't litter. Also, the architect of some of the most regressive policies and policy making in Charleston's history, and went bananas. He went ape shit with these goddamn TIFs. King Street TIF, Horizon TIF, what is it? The Crosstown TIF. What is another one? It's like there's 3 major ones that's really wreaking havoc.
Much capital power creates the Horizon Foundation, now known as West Edge.
B-man. All right. So ain't that wild too that y'all's mayor created West Edge, right? Shout out. Oh, I'm gonna get. Is this a raid? Is this a raid? Hey, thank you for the raid. Thank you for the raid, Ghost Rider. Thank you. Or is it a raid or is it just hosted? I'm horrible. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Isn't it wild that a sitting mayor, literally like created a foundation, act like it was some sort of like healthcare foundation or something with MUSC, but it really was it was just a disguise for developers, for his developer buddies. Isn't that crazy? Didn't that make you look at him a little bit different? It should.
Luxury condos, parking structures,
exactly,
high-end office and commercial
exactly,
space.
April.
All of this obviously not catered to the needs of the residents just 500 feet
Talk
away
your
from
shit,
this
April.
development.
Love it. Yep, West Edge, and they. Oh, I don't want to. Yeah, they started. They had to. They had to reach out to them. Is that Dudley Gregory right there? Let me see. Yeah, Dudley Gregory out there. Word on the street. Shaheed is right here. Seekins is right here, and of course they get black people to cut the ribbon. Right? And we just do anyway. So anyway. That's city 3, at least in this shot, 3, you can't really make it out, but 3 city council people. And it's not uncommon for you to see the CEO of West Edge and Councilman Gregory. You'll see those 2 together a lot. And so we're still trying to figure out the nature of that relationship and see if it's monetary. But I think that would be a conflict of interest, at least. And Shaheed is here, right? So this is when the Publix was opened up, because the people of Back to Green said they wanted the Publix. When Shaheed is here at the ribbon cutting, remember his wife is a lawyer for West Edge. So sometimes he has recused himself from votes regarding West Edge, but he damn sure showed up for that photo op. Yep, that's how power works in Charleston. The connectedness, the tentacles, they just stretch and reach into all these different areas. And it's wild. It's wild. But yeah, there's a relationship between Michael Mayhair, whatever, and West Edge. There's some sort of like a coordination between Gregory and West Edge. And I believe the Chronicle even used to report about like how all this stuff is happening when you got Mitchell, you got Waring, and you got Gregory on council. It's like this is happening with black leadership on the council. And a lot of it when it was even more black leadership or different black leadership on the council as well in other years. Yeah. Right? The bend, right? Mm-hmm. They said they brought jobs. So their jobs that they brought was Jimmy John's and Publix jobs. And Domino's.
Flooding in Charleston, South Carolina is no secret. And we're telling them that this title march still works. And if we revitalize it and invest in its revitalization, it actually would help folks with flooding. It would help
let the march do its thing.
Issue.
Let the march do its thing. Yeah. Replacing the salt marsh, wetlands, and pervious pavement. Right. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so they're saying that concrete. So West Edge says that so West Edge now, and they're doing this now, and a lot of people are falling for it. Now they're saying they're a flood mitigation organization. First you were a medical nonprofit being led by MUSC. Then you changed your name from Horizon to West Edge, and then so you became a developer outright. Now you've gotten pushback from grassroots groups like ours, right? You got pushback, and now they're positioning themselves to be a flood mitigation organization. And how the fuck is concrete going to stop the flooding? You're going to stop the flooding, all right? Yeah, you're going to stop the flooding. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I see y'all in the chat. Keep talking. And you know the wild thing, I'm gonna stop it here. The wild thing, because it developed now. This last part is kind of like not as updated, I guess. But shout out to the homie though, to the clip. But like my neighbor is bugging. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a conversation. I talk about it a lot. I'm trying not to be a curmudgeon, but can y'all hear it? Anybody? I don't know if y'all can hear it. It's like bong, bong, bong. It's crazy. It don't even sound like it sounds crazy. All right, so here we go. Thank y'all for dropping in the chat. So what I want to do is bring it back to Linnentown, of course, right? So there is. It looks like the Facebook is not updated unless there's a new Facebook page for Linnentown, and I'm going to get to something else too. We're going to keep watching. I want to continue that documentary on Linnentown. I just wanted to show y'all the parallels, right? Oh, that's what I want to do. Before we do that, before I show you the parallels, let's go back to Friends of Gadsden Creek again. Just invite y'all, if you want to learn more about our fight, stay up to date. You can you could definitely sign up to become right here. You on the homepage. You can sign up at the below and become a friend of Gadsden Creek, so you'll be on our newsletter mailing list, right? But you also get that visual storyline. You'll see our research, and you'll see that timeline that was in that video. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, you'll see the TIF research that I always use to talk about during city council. But you'll also see these documents. You'll see how 54, the far left. That's lush, delicious, beautiful, pristine marsh. That's the creek, and the creek is winding through it. That you can't really see that dark. Let me see if I can make it a little bit. There's a dark line. No, it doesn't really do it. Dark line running through it. That's the creek. Then you see all that white stuff coming in the second tile. The tile second to the left. Did I say right? To the left. On the left. The left two tiles. You see the progression. All that white is landfill. 63. And they did this, y'all. This was a violation of federal law. So they thumbed their nose at federal law. It's the Harbors and Rivers Act. It's a federal environmentalist law that they just fuck it. We just gonna dump on these black people's in their backyard. We're gonna build a treasure island. All that white shit you see right here in these tiles is all landfill. They literally, I don't even know. Even though it's back in the days, the 50s, how is it a good idea to just take your marsh and just dump in it to create more real estate, right? Right? You walked it the other day? Yep, it's flowing nicely. Exactly, B-Man. Thank you, B-Man. Thank you. Thank you for seriously, we're gonna start doing regular tours and everything like that too. For walking the creek, it's important. For people to walk the creek, and so you can see the egrets. We went over there the other day, me and Amron, see the marsh hens, see the turtles, see the oysters. Even though we won't be eating those oysters because it needs to be renovated and it needs to be refurbished, right, and restored. That's the word I'm looking for, restored. But the fact that an oyster can grow there, the fact that many oysters can grow there, is a sign of life. The fact that egrets are eating there, raccoons are down there, that's a sign of there's a healthy ecosystem there that's still hanging on. So don't tell me about pollution. Don't tell me about that. No, don't tell me about that. But go to the website, y'all, so y'all can learn more about it. And I think the one thing I wanted to do was just pull up that letter one more time. Because they always ask, and I don't want to be too messy here. But you've got a local influencer who's known for popularizing black food on a certain day of the week. And they recently posted a video, and they've espoused these things often. They posted a video. I'm not going to share it because I don't want to but they know how I feel about what they say and do. That's no secret. I don't have respect for this person's movement when it comes to this specific issue that I'm about to talk about. You've got a local influencer who advises people to buy certain foods culturally specific foods on certain days of the week. Y'all know who I'm talking about. They posted a video recently where they said that the civil rights struggle was misguided. Now, to fix your lips in 2021, when you have access to the internet, when you have access to the library, when you have access to Google, when you have access to databases, to EBSCO-host or whatever it is, to fix your lips in 2021, 2022, and say that the civil rights movement was misguided because they weren't capitalistic enough or they didn't fight the way that you wanted them to fight, is not only disrespectful, it's idiotic. So it doesn't even really require me to respond directly or even pull up the person's content. It's idiotic, right? But I'm bringing this up because this is something that I hear a lot of younger people, and he's not even that young, a lot of younger people are forgetting what the fight looked like back then. And it's partly, I can't really even blame completely that person. I can't blame that person because they've been checked on this multiple times and they just keep saying dumb shit. But I know part of his ignorance is informed by not knowing his history and not having that history being taught and not having that history be readily available. So I'll give that person that much leeway, right? But what that person is doing is not only disrespectful, it ignores what resistant bondage always looks like, what it always existed. Black people resisted at every turn. They mounted very, very good, very solid efforts to stave off development, to stave off displacement. They've always organized. They've always leveraged church and economics, and they've pooled resources. They're literally the blueprint on how to live cooperatively, right? In a way that not, and April, you talked about this as well. April talks about in her field of architecture, and also as she continues to commune with certain populations, certain neighbors, and certain community members. April told us here on the live stream that she looked at indigenous populations, looked at other types of leadership styles, pre-colonization, right? How did we live over on the mother continent? How do many of us, granted, Africa's not a monolith, right? So we could came from a myriad of places along the coast, right? But what did leadership look like there? It didn't look like what it looks like here in America. What did these matriarchal, y'all read it, if y'all are reading The Troubled White Women, y'all got I say her name someone, but the indigenous woman, that when they start off with the indigenous stories, right? Those matriarchal communities that used to exist, right? Leadership looked very culturally specific. And we were the blueprint. We created so many amazing ways to organize and to build power, but you can only do so much if your government, if your federal and your local government want to kill you, they will kill you, and then they'll issue an apology years and years and years later. And so I wanted to bring this up in the face of, I'm trying to find it, in the face of people out here spewing nonsense and saying that the civil rights movement did it the wrong way and they should have just been more capitalistic, or why did they get back on the buses? When you see somebody saying that, just know that they not doing their reading. Let's just say that they're not doing their reading. So I wanted to pull up the shit. We got so much shit up here. Good stuff. I was trying to, y'all know the letter I'm talking about though. Let me see. Public comments. Oh, this is, I'm hustling backwards. Mika, you hustling backwards. Here we go. It's all dated and timestamped, right? What's up, Tired Jesus? You says, well, the Chikora and Wakama lived in that area and seemed to do fine before white folks showed up. I mean, before colonization. So this is a letter. Yeah, I can't really, I can download it though. I keep doing this. I keep downloading it. This is the letter that was written to Mayor Lockwood, and we're gonna get back to reparations. We're gonna get back to Linnentown, but again, I'm trying to show you the parallels. So if Linnentown makes you upset and sick as it should, this is another reminder. So this was a letter written. I'm not gonna read the letter in full, right? The address here was 49 Norman Street, Charleston. Is dated in 1940. 1940, year after my dad was born, okay? So I'm going to read the beginning, though. Dear sir, we the undersigned citizens and freeholders, right, of the area affected by the proposed low rent, that's public housing, low rent housing project in the section of Charleston known as Gadsden Green, south of Line Street, west of President Street, and north of Bogard and Always Streets, do most earnestly and honestly protest against the area being used as a slum clearance project. Planned shrinkage, slum clearance, urban renewal, Negro removal, all of that's the same thing. Gentrification, all of that the same thing, right? So they protest against this area being used as a slum clearance project for the following reasons. And then they list all the reasons. They talk about the wealth, right? Again, I talked about me and the conversation I had with Ace. It says this is not a slum district. Second, about 75% of the people living in the affected area are either buying or own their own home. So people are either paying or they own it outright. 75% of the people, black people living over there in Gadsden Green, are buying or own their own homes. Third, that a careful survey of all the homes, because they said that, oh, your house is blighted. We gotta get all y'all out here because 1 or 2 houses are real torn up by the tornado. So we gotta take all y'all houses, right? So they're asking the city to come and survey the homes affected by the tornado, right? And most of them could be repaired easily. Some of them needed more, right? Right? So I'm gonna read this. Let me see. This part right here. It breaks your heart too, because you can imagine. Use your imagination to imagine what this area looked like. A census of this area will show that more than 50% of the people in this area are mechanics, artisans, and school teachers, and others. The others have definite ways of supporting themselves. So the city was telling, the city of Charleston, Mayor Lockwood and those were saying that, oh, these people are broke. These people can't make a living. They don't have a job. All that. That's the argument they were making, right? Right. And then the fourth and final piece I'm going to read from here. It says fourth. This is what Mr. Harris said. Fourth. This is the largest group of colored property owners in any single area of Charleston, in the city of Charleston. This is 1940, y'all. This is the largest group of colored property owners in any single area of the city of Charleston. Right? Right? I'm gonna go down here. So when they say, oh, our ancestors, our foremothers and forefathers didn't know how to fight, this was the one tactic they did. They raised money. They had fairs. They rebuilt their homes. Y'all know how it is. How many of y'all know? I'm raised halfway. I was raised half my life on Wamala. How many times y'all seen shade tree mechanics and other type of like architects and carpenters come on over to your house and build on the porch? If something happened, a tree fell down on the carport, come and rebuild that. Like, y'all know how this goes. And not just black people either. How many of y'all have y'all neighbors help y'all build something? Shit, ain't B-Man in April, ain't y'all building a deck? Like that's what they did. That's what they did. Right? And so when they tell you, oh, they didn't fight, why didn't they create their own? They did create their own systems, dummy. Dummy, stick to food, man. Stop telling that. Stop. Like, it really pissed me off. It really pissed me off. Shout out to Courtney Hicks for saying something publicly about it. But I'm gonna pick my battles. But like, it really pisses me off when people act like we didn't fight. Act like we didn't organize, and I reduced the size of this page, but right here is like at least what 30 or something families here. It's way more than that, and they gave the names, and they gave their names and their addresses. These are real lives. Look, all this is wealth, y'all. All this is wealth that was lost. I see my name up here. I see John S. Gadsden. I see John H. Green, Oswell Holmes, Miss Evelyn Nesbitt, Miss Marion Washington, Miss Sally Smalls, Miss Emma Bailey, Miss Josephine Williams, Mr. Willie Smith. Like, we fought, man. We fought. And then what was the response from the mayor? Nah, we gonna take it anyway. Like, nah, we just look how short it is. Nah, we good. We gonna take it. Like it don't say that. You know what I'm trying to say. All right, let's get back to Linnentown real quick. Let's get back to this. We stopped in the middle after Mr. Crook was talking and then Miss Geneva was talking. Right here. So this was February 2020. On Tuesday, February 2020, Linnentown supporters filled the Athens Clarke County City Hall. Okay, County City Hall. I gotta learn their structure because I keep calling Mariah a county commissioner. I don't know if she's a city commissioner. I gotta figure it out. I gotta figure out their structure. But again, talking about, so this is a silent protest, right? But this is another way for you to engage your government. So bringing it back to Linnentown, I just did that so you can see how many parallels between, I got you in the chat, I'm gonna catch up, how many parallels between Gadsden Green and Linnentown. Yeah, tired Jesus, to your point about the 50s. Absolutely right.
Other considerations that maybe
it ain't even passive. It's like explicitly wrong.
Clarke County Unified Government and outside of the Classic Center Authority. Yeah, we understand the project's gonna.
Thank you for showing. Thank you for sharing what you shared about your uncle's cuz. Yeah, as community. Yep, your uncle. You said your uncle and I install hardwood floors for neighbors and family at cost, right? Shoot, same thing on Wamala. New kitchen floor for my mom and dad. The carport, the deck needed to be redone. Like all that was just like, yeah, I come over there, just go to Home Depot, go get all the supplies. Ben talking to my dad, and then I'll come and whatever. Right? Y'all got it. Yeah, they were in April. To your point earlier, you said like the black populations were sustainable. They were prosperous and Rosewood, Tulsa, Gadsden Green, and Charleston. There's a bunch of. I'm just naming one area that I studied. Like how many other areas? Shit, Wamala, right? Yeah. Same beside you said something. You said you argued against people like that. You had to collect your rage because you realized that everyone has someone sharing stories of those times. Like my mother, yeah, not everyone had that, right? Yeah, but at some point you've been G-checked a couple times on being dumb, and you just you think because you got followers that means you know what you're talking. It just really burns me up to see people of a certain age completely like they're doing exactly what the neo-Confederates and all those other people who make those icky videos. Oh, picking cotton wasn't that hard. Oh, slavery wasn't that hard. You had free health care. Like, please stop acting like our ancestors, our foremothers and forefathers wasn't out here literally fighting for their lives. Literally. So that you can get on free Wi-Fi at McDonald's and talk stupid shit. Get the fuck out of here.
To the county as a whole, but we just want to make sure proper consideration is given before actually instituting this agreement and allowing for whatever.
Number 17.
How about we show to City Hall like this silent protest?
I think for 26 million. Don't know how long.
This is civic engagement, y'all.
And then on number 18 on the Classic Center agreement.
What would they do? You think they would tell us to take down the banner? They tell us to not like. What if we had church fans, which I'm working on? What if everybody showed up with church fans? They couldn't tell you not to bring a church fan in.
It's a 58-page agreement, and
I'll be right back. Keep watching.
Not that I've heard from anyone here that has stated opinion that is contrary to that, so I don't want to leave anybody out. I've offered y'all a lot of supporting evidence on this, and I can't find any modern research or regulatory literature that says this is unadvisable. It slows speed, it reduces the number and severity of crashes.
I just want everybody to know that I didn't have a choice of my sex, my
what would it look like if we all showed up, right? Real quick. There's one thing I loved about working for Black Voters Matter. I got to see a lot of the tools and tactics, right? What if it looked like we just all got like these custom, we had church, this is a church fan. I used to hand these out all the time, like even when I stopped working for Black Voters Matter, especially when we was outside. I was at a Quadro event, and I just handed all these out. Like, what if we just showed up to city council, and we're like, ooh, Lord, it's hot. Oh, act like a Southern Belle, have like a hanky, a lace hanky. I do declare, It sure enough is hot in here in the city council chambers, y'all. Oh, you see my great granddaddy up there on the wall. Like, what do we look like? We just showed up in protest silently. Like we have to come up with new ways to protest because how they're cracking down on how we do protest, how we do show up. I love the church fans. You can be, and I'm agnostic. I think they work. There's been times where I've broken those out just meeting up with somebody in outside in Charleston when it's hot. Yeah.
The parents of where I was born, but I was born in Linnentown, so that's why I'm standing here today.
Go ahead, Miss Hattie.
Tonight, I was born to Abe and Laura Thomas.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry.
And then moved to 140.
I caught it though. Quick. Sorry about that.
I tell my story through pain and gratitude.
I'm up here watching.
I saw what happened in Linnentown. I saw my parents and my neighbors, the hurt that went through them when Urban Renewal, University of Georgia, I'm going to say took the property with little money to give them to them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us had nowhere to go.
That's right.
Some of us had to move with relatives. Some of us had to move wherever they could, work with people and move in the back of the big house. Because we had no way of getting a loan because we had meager wages.
Yep.
Meager wages that were paid because we were a working community.
Doesn't it sound familiar?
Kids went to school. We had carpenters.
Thank you, April, for your comment too.
We had all a supportive neighborhood to be one day a middle class. But all that was taken from us.
Mm-hmm.
All that was taken from us then. The city, the university, and senators were all together. So when our parents in the neighborhood went to reach out to someone for help, they had nobody to go to. Where you going to? Who you going to talk to? They had nobody to go to. So they were kicked out. We bring it to our city council and mayor. Thank you, Mayor, for putting a team together to work on this. Thank you. Because when I tell people that you are doing this, when I go to meetings, they know that something is going to happen. So thank you. We are willing for change. We are willing to move. We are willing to work together to make something happen.
People crying. I come home, I was 11 years old, people crying and like something had died. And I was wondering what was going on. They said the University of Georgia is taking our house, they making us move. My family, the Crook family, Roy and Ashley Crook, they bought their house in 1938, 167 Peabody. Just imagine a black family buying a house in 1938. And then it comes in 1965, it's taken away for a little of nothing. And so what I'm standing here for is for the city council and the mayor to acknowledge the fact and do something about it.
All right. So again, let me go back to their website. So, again, I'm going to be personally listening and talking with some of the people featured in this video very soon, probably next week, to be precise, as the text message I just got outlines. But I really want to invite y'all to please go to redressforlinnentown.com. That's R-E-D as in David, R-E-S-S-F as in Frank, ORLINNENTOWN.com. redressforlinnentown.com. All right. And then they had let me see what they had here. There's videos here. We're not going to be able to watch them. There's videos here. Oh, wait, we should watch this one. Let's see. Let's see.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and jump in.
Okay, so no, this is like a town hall or what have you. So we're not going to watch that. I thought it was going to be like more of a recap. But you'll get caught up on the issue here, y'all. Learn more about it. There's all these different links here. Right, all these different links here that connect you to it, to the fight. So shout out Miss Hattie, shout out Miss Geneva, shout out Mr. Crooks, right? Shout out Mariah Parker. There's also a story in The Intercept about it. Let me see if I pulled it up already. No, that's urban renewal. This is another link, renewing inequality. This is Richmond University. Let me see what this is. Yeah. Oh, it was part of the links that I think were on the website. So it talks about renewing inequality, urban renewal, family displacements, race, 1955 to 1966. I'm gonna make this a little bit larger because I know y'all can't see it at all. All right. So this is a picture of somebody being, I don't know what the picture doesn't have a caption, but someone being forcibly removed from their property by law enforcement. But it says for a quarter of a century, the federal government provided funding for cities large and small to raise, R-A-Z-E, to raise blighted or slum neighborhoods. Didn't we just hear that word? We heard that phrase in regard to Gadsden Green, right? Slum clearance project, right? Right? So the federal government provided funding for cities large and small to raise blighted or slum neighborhoods through improved housing opportunities, zones, through improved housing opportunities. Though improved housing opportunities was ostensibly the goal over time, cities use federal funds to stimulate commercial and industrial development, Mayor Riley, right? So cities used federal funds to stimulate commercial and industrial redevelopment, okay, through these programs, all right? So you can visit that, but what I wanted to do is show you, the whole intent of this live stream today is to show you what the fight for reparations looks like. It looks like this here. Yeah, the story was covered by MSNBC. There go Miss Hattie again. More recent picture. This is from December, so late last year. Miss Hattie, MSNBC. I'm gonna close that out. I'm gonna close out that one as well. And there was a story by The Intercept. I guess it closed out, but The Intercept also wrote a story. I can find it right here. Oh, let me see. Well, it was. Anyway, the Intercept wrote a good story on it as well. But let me go back to the whole, again, the intention of the live stream is to show you how feasible or how the fight for redress, what it could look like, language you can use. And this is not about Trojan horsing it. It's just like, look, reparations has been demonized, but we know what the word means. We know what the word means. We know what it really symbolizes as well, right? Right? Taking something that was unjust and making it just, right? So, and I showed this, I think, a while ago, PBS NewsHour. Black. Let's see if I can find it. I often, yeah. So this is, I'm gonna keep referencing. I'm gonna continue to reference this video. Because again, what happened in Gadsden Green, what happened in all these other cities and townships and counties that were predominantly black, that were affluent, that were self-sustaining, what happened in one happened in other, right? So this is showing you that this also too, why they don't want to pay reparations, they don't want to acknowledge that this was the intent of the government, right? That this was actually policy. Like they made a black displacement, they made Negro removal, they made it policy. So this is from 3 years ago, but let's watch it again. This is the title of the video. Black families were pushed out of Portland, right? Can this program help more return? Now the program wasn't perfect, and the program also broke down over time, but the initial, the seeds are there. There's still something there that organizers can leverage to mount a fight in any city where you live, wherever this type of removal, or rather renewal, is taking place.
Portland, Oregon is known as a hub of liberal and progressive thought. It's also one of the most gentrified cities in the country. Now, an ambitious new program, which some experts are calling the first of its kind, aims to atone for the repeated displacement of thousands of African-American families from North and Northeast Portland. In a city with soaring home prices and a steady pattern of gentrification, can it make a difference?
So we watched this before, but we're going to watch it again.
Producer Mike Fritz recently traveled to Portland to see firsthand how it's all playing out.
For Giovanni Battles and Ashley Rollins, this part of Portland has always felt like home.
You're just surrounded by family growing up there.
Man, everybody knew somebody. You would drive by my grandma's any day, it would be 5-10 people, cousins, everybody out there.
How many of y'all had that?
Impromptu barbecue.
How many of y'all had that? Seriously, especially like black folk watching. Don't you? I love those memories. I didn't have that intent in Falls, but I was able to get that a lot when I came back home down to like my mom's hometown in North Carolina, or my dad down here in Charleston, right? Or my friends in high school, Red Top, Mr. Greenhouse, Mr. William Greenhouse, may he rest in peace. His house on Red Top was always a party, always cousins, always kids, always trouble, and always some fucking food, some delicious fucking food. Shout out to Erica. Shout out to Erica over there chilling.
People, cousins, everybody out there. You just stop and turn into an impromptu barbecue.
And ting.
Ashley was raised by her mother and grandparents, trailblazers in their time.
She was the first woman, African-American woman judge in Portland. And then my grandfather, he was actually a Tuskegee Airman.
Ashley and Giovanni's roots here may run
She looked like her grandfather.
But when the former high school sweethearts looked for a place to raise their sons, the neighborhood they once called home was out of reach.
We went to high school in this neighborhood. This is what feels like home and comfortable for us. So our hope was to live here, but you know, things have just like changed drastically.
That change traces back to the displacement of thousands of African-American families from North and Northeast Portland since the 1960s, forced out by waves of city development and gentrification.
Yeah, same
Portland's
facade.
policies that led to that exodus are deeply rooted in the state's past, according to Walida Imarisha, who studies Oregon's racial history.
And remember, Oregon, like many other cities, it was, Portland was a sundown town, if I'm not mistaken, right? A sundown town. So meaning like it was illegal for you to be in that town if you were black after sundown, right? And there are many sundown towns all around the country. So that's just one aspect. Like they literally, like if you study Oregon, this is why I think the white folk over there is so animated now and doing the absolute most. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a not so good way. I think once you make contact with that history in Oregon, you be like, what the fuck? Because they got so what we're taught to think that only the South was racist. It's not funny, but we're taught to believe that, it was the worst in Mississippi, it was the worst in Alabama. Indigenous communities would like to enter the chat, okay? Because Indian removal was a real thing, was a real policy. Okay, y'all reading The Trouble with White Women, y'all know about those schools those boarding schools that were created to beat the Indian out of, to civilize the native, right? That but let's take it back before the boarding schools, the genocide of indigenous communities, right? Like all that happened over in the Midwest and the West. We feel like the thing that the South does get unfairly labeled as like the most racist region. They're not. They act a donkey a lot. They were very loud and vocal, but it was the Midwest. It was the Pacific Northwest. It was the entire country, but specifically, think Midwest, think the Pacific Northwest. That was hell. You literally, and if a sundown town, you get caught, it was one punishment, probably lashes on your back or something like that. Like if you keep coming back, they were more and more like it got aggressively more violent if you were caught in these towns at sundown or after sundown, right? Yeah, color law does break that down. Right.
The Oregon Territory passed laws like...
But I'm going to say it again. Please read Color of Money. 2. Read both of those together.
Black exclusion law in 1844
but you're right, April.
That outlawed black people from living in Oregon. It also included the lash law that said black people would be publicly whipped every 6 months, up to 39 lashes, until they left the state.
See, there you go. I talked all over it. Shout out to... Yo, afros is a theme today. Let me see if I can... Let her rock.
Of city development
be right back. Let me show you.
Gentrification. Portland's policies that led to that exodus are deeply rooted in the state's past, according to Walida Imarisha, who studies Oregon's racial history.
The Oregon Territory passed laws like the Black Exclusion Law in 1844 that outlawed black people from living in Oregon. It also included the lash law that said black people would be publicly whipped every 6 months, up to 39 lashes, until they left the state.
So you get 49 lashes until you left the state. Okay. Shout out to Walida Amarisha, you just saw there, like somewhat as sitting there as a historian. She also edited one of my favorite anthologies, which is Octavia's Brood, right? And it's inspired by, if you like Adrienne Marie Brown, she also was a co-editor of this. So Adrienne Marie Brown and Walida Amarisha, they co-edited this. It's a compilation of stories. You've got everyone from LeVar Burton to you got LeVar Burton, you got Mahmoud Abdul-Jamal writing a piece on Star Wars from prison. Free the homie, right? Right? And so it's amazing. It's inspired by Octavia Butler's work. It's science fiction. Remember, reimagining communities, social justice is science fiction. We're literally trying to reimagine new worlds where equity, where justice is a key feature, right? And so Octavia's Brood is one of those really fun science fiction-y books that really inspire me. The reason why I went to go grab it and say this is because you see someone right here who can speak to the policies and speak to the history, also exercising another muscle in the more imaginative realm. And I just, again, whether it's whether it's Mariah Parker or whomever, please make sure that your leaders think outside the box. We don't always have to come with blazers and respectability, right? We can come with imaginations and art can really inform our struggle. And it always has. It always been, wherever there was protest, there was art. Wherever there was protest, there was artistic expression of music and painting and all that type of thing, posters, I just wanted to bring it up.
Few who stayed in Portland were mostly relegated to the north and northeast. By 1960,
because we're gonna get to the solution in a second.
Of the city's black population. For years, the area saw little to no investment, ignored by lenders and developers.
Yep.
Property values plummeted.
Yep.
But by the 1970s, a series of city projects, including a basketball arena, a new highway, and a proposed hospital expansion,
sound familiar?
Took over huge sections of land, raising hundreds of houses in the way.
Raise, R-A-Z-E.
Private money poured in. So did new homeowners who could afford to live here. Many existing residents were priced out. Fast forward, and the neighborhood that was 68% black in 1990 was just 28% black by 2010.
Sound familiar?
When folks say, well, why aren't there more black people in Oregon? Why aren't there more communities of color in Oregon? It's important to recognize that's the foundation of it.
Today, just 6% of all Portland residents are black, and the average home price in North and Northeast Portland is more than $500,000.
Damn.
Do you want to read Shades of Black?
And this is from a few years ago, so it's more than that.
Surprise, the same city that played a role in driving out so many of their friends and family now stepped in to help them buy their first home through a preference policy that's been dubbed by many as a right to return.
I think acknowledging a wrong is done is the first step, and I want to thank them for the opportunity that we took advantage of.
Started in 2015, the program set aside $20 million for current and former residents of North and Northeast Portland.
So when a city or a county says we don't have it, this is what you do, right? And if the Greek freak can take earmarks and give it to his girl and his girl's mom, then I'm sure we can find some money somewhere in the couch cushions of any city, state, or county. Anyway, but this is what it looks like. And also, we saw this in Baltimore following Freddie Gray. How do you take a moment where there's this extreme police violence and this gentleman lost his life, was murdered at the hands of the police, with these murky details emerging about what happened in the van and whatnot, right? After Freddie Gray, grassroots organizers made sure that the powers that be financially prioritized black people impacted in Freddie Gray's area, made sure you prioritize it by setting aside, finding the money. They find the money for everything else. Especially at the city level. There was a lot of hand wringing and rocking back and forth about, how are we going to do? But the money is there. Like, the city, I believe, is still sitting on that affordable housing money that Saccharin wanted to use to help revitalize businesses, back at the beginning of the pandemic. There's a pot of money that the city isn't doing anything with. And so they said, well, you're not doing anything with it. You might as well use it for help small businesses. The fuck? That's not a justification, Jason. And Jason got his ass got his ass handed to him on that. Shout out to Michaela Porter, who used to report from the Post and Courier, because she's the one that posted that story, and he had to walk it back. But my point is that there is money available. There are housing funds available within the city. If I'm not wrong, I believe that money is still there. I don't know if Navarro got his hands on it yet, or the bid's going to get his hands on it. But there was affordable housing money set aside that the city just was not moving on, right? So what would it look like for Charleston to prioritize the citizens of, or the prioritize the family members that are still alive and well that were displaced from Gadsden Green by Mayor Lockwood? What would that look like? You're about to see what it could look like. Again, this program didn't really land well, but this is a great start, and this is how you start to architect solutions. When they tell you no reparations, okay, we're not gonna call it reparations. We're gonna call it something else. We're gonna reframe it a little bit. We're gonna distill it and not even change it. Again, we're not playing a shell game. We're gonna just distill it. If reparations, if you're caught up on that word, okay, let me show you what we can do. This is an investment in Black home ownership. Call it whatever you want. Redress, reparative justice. Call it what you want.
Offering down payment assistance.
I don't know, April. I'm still trying to figure it out.
More affordable rental units and home improvement loans.
I'll pull up that story though.
Stay in the area. Families who could prove their grandparents or parents were displaced from these neighborhoods got priority. But not everyone wants to return.
Now this is real.
I've never walked from 15 to 17 since we left out of this neighborhood. This is my first time ever walking this far.
These 2 blocks.
These 2 blocks. I mean, I don't feel welcome here.
Jermaine Flentroy.
That's how my dad talks about King Street.
Portland block. He left in 2001 as his family's rent spiked and the neighborhood began changing.
Back then, white people wouldn't come in this neighborhood. Right? They would not come in this neighborhood at all. And all of a sudden, you just start seeing, like, the hipsters, right? And that's what we didn't really get a thing. Then all of a sudden, we started seeing community gardens. And it was like, what are these people doing? Why are they so weird?
Today, he qualifies for the city's right to return.
It's so real. It's so real because when I'm in mixed spaces and organizers here, like white organizers, they love, oh, let's do a community garden. Oh, what do they want? What do the people want? Like, community gardens are, look, shit, I'm from Wamala. The community garden is in almost everybody's yard, right? Like, that ain't nothing novel. We doing this in King Street. We doing it in Hughie. We doing it on Johns Island. Like, that ain't no novel concept. But, like, you know, when I'm in these mixed spaces where, like, it's like white and Black or whatever, a lot of white people have these, like, they want to make it Portland. No, you don't want to make it Portland. You kind of want to make it Maryville. You want to make it what it used to look like, right? Maryville's another one that needs some redress. Maryville needs some redress for real. I'm talking about everybody. I fucking look. I completely fumbled the ball. I had to completely fumble. I'm talking about Gadsden Green and didn't bring up Maryville till 2 hours and 9 minutes in. Jeez. That, you know, those folks who had their town charter revoked, like, they need redress.
Turn program, but the area, he says, is no longer
hipsters. KCJ18.
There's nothing here for me when they have this program right to return. I still don't understand what we're returning to.
Exactly.
I talk to people every single day.
And so just like that food influencers who advises you to buy culturally specific food on a certain weekday. They continue to say things like, just buy the block back, don't sell Granny's house. It's complicated, y'all. Don't sell Granny's house. Wait a minute, how much property taxes on Granny house? Because I don't know if I can afford it on my $40,000 a year and my 2 kids. I don't know if I can afford to take over that. I don't know if I can pay the upkeep on that house. I don't know if I want to live in a predominantly white neighborhood now. I don't know if I want to live between 2 white elephants that just were constructed. I don't know. It's not just about don't sell Granny's house, buy back the block. Being a capitalist, being an oppressor is not the way through this, right? Don't listen to a food influencer about this stuff unless that food influencer is saying something. Let me not say that. Don't listen to that food influencer about gentrification and economic opportunities in Charleston.
East Portland.
Leslie Goodlow is the Portland Housing Bureau's Equity and Business Operations Manager.
They want to live in the same neighborhood that their grandmother lived in. They want to live in the same neighborhood that their church is still in.
Yeah.
They want to live in the same neighborhood.
The churches are going off the peninsula.
The salons still is.
The salons are going off the peninsula.
3 years into a 5-year plan, Portland's Right to Return program is not hitting its marks.
Yeah.
1,000 people applied to buy homes.
So it's a Right to Return program. the other R word is not in there, right? And it's not doing too well. But look at the challenges they face. This is where you learn from other. I'm gonna rewind a little bit. You learn from other cities. You learn from other organizers what worked and what failed, right?
Want to live in the same neighborhood where their barbershop or their beauty salon still is.
But 3 years into a 5-year plan, Portland's Right to Return program is not hitting its marks. 1,000 people applied to buy homes. The city's goal was to fill 65 slots. To date, they've only moved in 6 new homeowners.
That's shitty.
Those numbers led Portland's mayor to call the program an abject failure.
He probably wanted to.
The mortgage is not easy, and if you're only making
probably scuttled it too, low key.
$40,000 a year, you can't afford, a $200,000 or $300,000 mortgage.
How did you not know that the same people that had been disenfranchised for so long and moved to the bottom of the priority list for so long wouldn't immediately be available and ready to make that kind of leap?
So some people
she anticipated
get ready in 6 months, and some people it might take 3 years. And do we hold a slot for somebody that's 3 years out, or do we move somebody else up? And so that's been the struggle.
Meanwhile, home prices in Portland continue to rise.
Property values over the course of the last 10 to 15 years are up somewhere in the range
Another
of
afro.
600%.
Making me want to have
Which
an
is
afro.
why Maxine Fitzpatrick says these rental units could offer the city some success. Her nonprofit is working with Portland to build more low-income rentals as part of the Right to Return program.
Our whole thinking around rental property is that it allows them an opportunity to stabilize so that they don't have to worry about being uprooted, at the given will of the landlord.
But experts say the key to building wealth is owning a home, and that's where the program is failing.
The program very much needs to be retooled and rebooted to face the realities of the market.
Portland State University's Lisa Bates examined the Right to Return program earlier this year, and she gives the city credit for putting it in place. But whether or not it makes a difference, she says, is something the rest of the country will be watching. Similar efforts to bring back families with ties to gentrified neighborhoods are now underway in New York, Philadelphia, Austin, and San Francisco.
When it comes to a history of racial segregation, of exclusion, of sort of containment of the African American community into a very small neighborhood, followed by the dispersal of those same exact black families with gentrification, it's extremely typical. This is a very basic story of urban history and urban planning in pretty much every city in the country.
That's a history Cornelia Swart has spent years documenting.
Portland was ranked as the most gentrified city in America.
His new film, Priced Out, tracks the dramatic change in Northeast Portland. He first moved here in the 1990s.
We've spoken to folks who said that when the neighborhood first started to gentrify, that first wave of which I was a part of, folks were conscious that it was a black neighborhood. Now, the last 5 or 6 years, there's been this erasure of history.
Same thing, Beerfield, James Island. Hannah Raskin's piece.
This was my grandmother's house, right?
Just across the street
Just across the street. This is where my main family grew up.
For Jermaine Flentroy, walking these streets today is a reminder of everything he had to leave behind.
We feel like this is stolen from us. Like, we feel angry about, at least me personally, I feel angry about this.
There's no way to make it right. We're talking about the community that was basically bulldozed. And
just like Linnentown.
We're going to be able to probably bring back maybe 2,000.
Just like Back to Green.
If we're lucky.
Some people will say Portland had an image problem it was trying to fix. Is that
well,
fair?
West Greenville.
Probably some of it, but it is a way for the city to demonstrate we recognize what we did. We want to try to do something.
Get them.
The neighborhood isn't what they remember, but Giovanni and Ashley say they're now focused on making new memories.
The best feeling is knowing that we set a foundation for our kids. Owning a home is the first step.
Yes, Megsy.
Economic class. And so that's honestly the best feeling I have, is knowing that my kids have something.
A first step towards a future still firmly rooted in their past.
So it just has to be political will to want to return to hey, bring you people back. Bring people back. And please make sure y'all, Walida and Marisha is such a fucking powerhouse, y'all. Please, go on YouTube and just have yourself a ball. Put this on in the background. I mean, I want you to finish The Trouble with White Women. But she is so damn dope.
Can you hear me okay?
So this is something I watched before. I watched this
I can usually be pretty loud.
like 2 years ago, I think. What year is this? Yeah.
This is, I've been told my whole life to quiet down. So this is one place where I can get as loud as I want. So I'm really
the title of the video is why aren't there more black people living in Oregon? Like, we're going to be doing this with the peninsula, right? Like, very, very directly.
To be part of the Governing for Racial Equity Conference, and I'm excited to have that conversation continue throughout.
So yeah, go back. I'm not going to spend time here. I want to pull up that reporting that April. I don't know. I never really followed up on those funds. You know what happened. 2020, everything happened. Lord Jesus, Michaela Porter, Jason Charleston. I always spell his name wrong, so I'm just going to Charleston City Council, affordable housing, super specific Google search, Post and Courier. All right. Yeah, I spelled her name wrong. Here we go. This is the city. This is the story. Thank you for sharing, B-Man. So this was the headline. I've shared this too before on the live stream, but Charleston City Councilman pushes a small business loan program. Now, back when Low Country Local First had Jamie Haley as the ED, she was pushing this shit hard. I remember I got an email from her and she's like, yeah, we're pushing this. We're supporting Jason. And I was like, to myself, I never told it to her face. I'm like, damn, Jamie, I said, you want me to go out there and say, yeah, take the money from affordable housing to help business owners who probably, and not even knowing the PPP loan thing at that time, I don't believe, but knowing that the government was going to probably provide some sort of subsidy for business owners, right? Knowing that was, I knew, like, that's going to happen in some way, shape, or form. After every economic disaster, there's something, whether it's enough, whether it's easy to get, that's debatable, but there's always some sort of subsidy, right? And so this was back at the beginning of the pandemic. I remember because I was in my closet on Wamalaw Island, and I was making that morning update for OWN Radio every day, making a morning update, and it says a Charleston City Councilman proposed using money set aside for affordable housing to instead help small businesses feeling the effects of the coronavirus pandemic, including possibly one of its restaurants. And that was where Jason fucked up, because he was one of the people that was going to benefit from this, right? And so it went on to say, Councilman Jason Saccharin, I'm not calling him a fuck up. I'm saying this is where he fucked up in that instance. You get what I'm saying? This was just like, ooh, dude. Have some self-awareness. Like Councilman Jason Saccharin, who owns a restaurant in Charleston and one in Mount Pleasant, said he may seek money from the program that will be funded. I wouldn't even answer that question if she asked you that. He just did it. He said, yeah, he may seek money from the program that will be funded by a local development corporation, a LDC, if it's approved, right? And this is where Low Country Local First, I think they were trying to angle in there and pull a CCF, pull a Coastal Community Foundation, right? By getting in there and figuring out where they can benefit. So he put together a brainstorming session and then even Dudley was like, you're not meeting and you're not having secret meetings, because that's where he also messed up. He met kind of like discreetly, and it was like, nah, that's not how we do. But Gregory was like, look, bruh, right? And so, yeah, the argument that he put forward was just really silly. So it says here, Saccharin told the Post and Courier that he received $200,000 loan from the LDC 2 years ago to open his restaurant, Bon Me, the location in Mount Pleasant. He said he makes regular payments, hasn't missed one, now owes $175,000, while acknowledging his proposal could have the perception issue. Saccharin said if things continue the way they are going, his business may be among those requesting a loan. And these are like really favorable loans, or loans with favorable conditions and whatnot, right? So, it wasn't received well by his colleagues. And when this story came out, the only ones really going hard for it was LLF and Jamie Haley. Which is unfortunate because Jamie knows better. Jamie knew better. Well, let me not say that, because I'm learning through some other friends that's just that's where Jamie is. Jamie, and she's no longer the ED at Low Country Local First, but I believe like her leadership and her lens is prioritizing these businesses, and she doesn't have the right lens to really but so it was really unfortunate to see an organization that's supposed to be about community willing to run roughshod all over people in need. And we know how much affordable housing is in need on the peninsula, and this is before all the other recent developments, right? So it says here, this is again from March of 2020, at least 3 city council members took issue with the proposal at Tuesday night's council meeting. One pointed out that none of the African American council members none of the African American council members were included in last week's brainstorming session. A meeting of the City Council's Community Development Committee is scheduled for Thursday. Right. So anyway, the money is just sitting, like I think that's what Jason Sackett kept saying. The money's just sitting there. Let me see where I'm trying to find that quote. I'm trying to find it, like, because that's what like the email from LLF was just there, or the text I got was like, Mika, the money's just sitting there. They're just not doing anything with it. Yeah. Oh, this is longer than I remember. Yeah. Anyway, they said no on that, but there's some other things going on. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. All right, so I think this is a good place to land the plane a little bit. So I guess I want to tie it up a little bit neater. Yeah, same as I was reading a quote from a few minutes ago. Again, please make sure you support learn more. I encourage you to go and find out more about Linnentown. This is the red and black. This is the story behind Linnentown, why Athens residents are speaking out decades after a community's removal. I can't wait to bring y'all more content, whether it's podcast form, whether it's work through Friends of Gadsden Creek, where we partner with groups like the folks organizing in Linnentown. That hopefully that's something that will come into fruition soon. Make sure you go to redressforlinnentown.com/removal or redressforlinnentown.com to learn more about that. But y'all, it's possible. That's the whole point of bringing up the book Moral Contagion. You saw in that PBS clip that there are other major metropolitan areas that are also working to bring back the family members of those who have been displaced. Oh, I'm burying what I want to talk about. And then also, like, shout out to my twin brother over in Chicago area, Skokie. Oh, there's a group in Skokie. I want to say Skokie Abolition. Yeah, my sister-in-law. Shout out to my sister-in-law, Angela. She's a part of this collective because they're rooted more closely now in the Skokie area. So she's part of the Abolition Coalition of Skokie. Oh man, I think I am too. Wow, why does that look like that? Right. And so like groups like that are also organizing for like reparations or at least in community with other groups that are organizing. So we got Skokie, you got Evanston too. And my brother used to live in Evanston. Evanston too, they out there organizing for reparations. So Moral Contagion, I brought up that book because I want you to see, I want you to get excited. I want you to get infected. I want you to become overcome with the virus that is reparations, that is restorative justice, that is reparative justice, that is redress for areas that have been, the victim of some really gnarly policies designed to displace as many Black and poor people, and sometimes to displace, like we saw over there by the aquarium, to displace multiracial, because there were immigrant groups, right? It always strikes me as so wild is that there was so much diversity in Charleston at certain points in our history. There were like these booming, and it still is, you know, Jewish presence and Greek presence, but there was this booming Greek presence and a booming Irish presence, and like there were these immigrant communities that worked and lived alongside black communities harmoniously, and a lot of that was disrupted either by policy, by urban renewal, or it was disrupted with people, agitators coming in there and injecting, you know, white supremacist bullshit to make people start fearing and hating one another, right? But it's just amazing to see, you know, what used to be here. But I bring that up because I want you to get excited, and I want you to realize and imagine a more equitable Charleston. Let me just switch it up as I land the plane. I don't think there's anything else I need. Yeah. So whether it's Linnentown, whether it's Skokie, whether it's Evanston, whether it's Charleston, you know, it can happen. It can happen here. We got a call for redress. Yeah. B-Man, you said something to the lens of the business that creates wealth versus labor that creates wealth. Exactly. Thank you for dropping that in the chat. And thank you, same facade. Thank you for being so, just being so active today in the chat. I really appreciate it. I know sometimes people's schedules and job commitments don't allow for them to participate fully or participate a lot, but I appreciate that. Hopefully y'all stay safe today. I'm just like, I'm from Jersey. So B-Man, you from Jersey too. Are you scared? I don't know. Text me. But like, I'm just hoping it's not even raining no more. It's not raining. So hopefully it's not going to be too gnarly. I know it's supposed to be coming later on this evening. The temperatures are dipping and dropping. But just be safe today. Hopefully you already did your shopping. Hopefully I see some of the education warriors are not here. Hopefully they're getting some sleep, some rest. I know it's like, maybe it's at home school day. Oh, you said, by the way, Agent M, you said, by the way, it looks like City Council has this guy. Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. Ooh, I was just about to get ready for that too. Damn, you think I can get, I won't be able to get the church fans. Yeah. Yeah, you're excited, B-Man? Excited for you and my dad. You and my dad, B-Man. Y'all look weird. I moved down here for the palm trees. Okay? For the palm trees. Let me switch up real quick. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna hit the agenda up. Shout out to you, Agent M. City Council. Oh yeah. The amended Human Affairs and Racial Reconciliation Commission. I ain't even gonna say nothing because I don't want to wake up those White Walkers. Ooh, that's a good one. Game of Thrones. Them White Walkers that just get reanimated every time you say the word race. Ways and Means, City Council agenda. Oh, we gotta get people signed up though. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. I'm mad I missed it. I should have. Thank you. Shout out Agent M. I appreciate you. All right. Here we go. All right. I will be sharing this. I will be pouring over each agenda item because that's going to require a lot. And yeah, I'll be sharing pertinent information on Instagram and via newsletter. Okay. Yeah. They shutting it all down, Brienne? You excited? Just pray. I pray for no freezing rain. Ain't no snow coming though. You can pack a lunch there. Look at Tom gonna be Tom. He gonna be bundled up outside, waiting for snow. Yeah, they shutting everything down, and I want them to. I'm trying to get left and right Twix to shut down their Buicks. Cause they will jump in their old ass Buicks and be just riding around. Oh, there's a storm. Oh, this is the storm that Tamika talked about for 2 days. Oh, okay, that's all right. Tamika, can you come get me off the side of the road? I'm not doing it this time. I'm not doing it. I've got parents, y'all. I've got parents who always exceed their like AAA roadside. It's really just one of them. I'm not going to out which one it is. You can guess. There's one parent that's always using up all of the mileage from their AAA. Like, it's a mess. I'm like, just park the Buick, man. Go home and watch some stories. I'm loving the rest. Some Young and the Restless. All right, y'all. I'm gonna end it there. Have a good weekend. Hopefully you be safe. For real. I hope it's not. I'm gonna make sure. Thank you so much, AJ. And for real, I'm gonna share this agenda and some other tidbits. We didn't even get to talk about Representative Wetmore's competition, but we'll talk about it later. It's just gonna be fun. She got some competition. All right, y'all. Take care. Be safe. Bye. Thank you for all the love and support this week. Bye.